feel it rising. I can feel the wind on the back of my neck, chasing the horizon. Sun is going down, we ain't heading home yet. I can feel it building. Pressure so high, it'll never come down. Feeling like a billion. Head up in the sky, I've been losing the ground. Give me that. Give me that. I can feel it.
Well, we are here for week 5 of the Blue Otter Diamond League. And two teams right now that are kind of trending in different directions. One of them really trying to stay in the hunt to get to that top 4. The other team looking for their first win. Myself, Yanni, and I'm joined by TDS. Will be the ones to bring you all the action here for week 5. And TDS, well, the story of Acclivity is a bit of a sad one so far.
It's been a sad one, but there's always a chance to turn it around, right? We are in week 5 though, so it's really, really hard to be able to turn it around, but you can try. At least from the side of Acclivity, I think that you have to try and look for that right recipe in terms of your teammates or the team that you're fielding, and then what you want to play to try and make it maybe not for this one if it's a little bit too late, but for the next one. So there's always a reason to try and play around something that you have.
Right, right. And this roster has been a roster in turmoil. I
Yep.
think they fielded the most unique players out of any team in the league this year with 12 different players. And I don't think they're fielding another unique one today, which is nice. But we
Lucky,
are
yeah.
here into the draft. VBU will start the game on the blue side. Acclivity will be on the red side. VBU getting rid of the Cogmal, Mundo, and Corky for the bans in the first rotation. Acclivity with Zillion and Tryndamere. Zillion and Tryndamere, champions that are banned pretty often against VBU. Zillion's been banned, what, 7 times? And I think Tryndamere 6, so now this will be numbers 8 and 7, respectively. And Poppy, the final ban. And first pick, Kaisa. This champion's been getting really popular in the mid lane.
Yep, I'm one of the Kaisa believers, fans, however you want to call it. But I just love watching Kaisa in the mid lane. I'm also in the sense that even though Kaisa mid lane in the AP version is more popular, Kaisa provides so much versatility that I think that teams shouldn't overlook the potential from her going AD in the mid lane as well. I feel like obviously the AP version probably provides much more in terms of just the poking and a similarity to Corki that you get with the Kaisa. But I am just so huge on Kais, and I want to see all the possibilities with her appear in the future, hopefully. But right now, I really like the pick. You can still flex it into the bot lane as well. And if you have a good matchup, then you can play around it. I don't think Caitlyn is going to be that good of a matchup for you, if I'm honest. But it's a matchup that maybe you can look forward to with the Kaisa if you take something like an engager or a more tanky champion to pair up with her passive. That's a potential there. For the Acclivity though, going for the Caitlyn, I'm not against this. And I would like for them to try and get someone like a Morgana or a Lux. Obviously, to try and put pressure with the Caitlyn as much as possible and allow for this Graves pick, which I would guess it's on the top side, but if it ends up going to the jungle, to get as much pressure as possible into the enemy jungle and try and get that farm lead that Graves obviously always gets, but to be even higher than it's normally.
This will be the first pick of the season for Missing Link on Caitlyn. 0 games on it. And Assyrian, the top laner for the side of Acclivity, has played 4 games with the squad. It will be a second one on Graves, so, at least he's well practiced on it. On the other side, VBU, they're going to pick up this Udyr, which is a champion that really was running the meta early on this season, but has
Yeah.
since fallen off quite a bit.
Yeah, and I'm on the side that I don't really understand why Udyr is not more prevalent, especially with the rise out of Hecarim. I think that Udyr was kind of ignored, not for the fact that he was bad or anything like that, because I think that he can find quite a lot of power in the meta. But I think because it is quite boring for a lot of players. So if you really don't like playing Udyr, you're going to just ignore it as much as possible because there's alternatives to Udyr as well. So you really don't want to pick him. But I like the combo that they're opting into with the Udyr and the Karma. This also means that Karma can be a potential flex and going into the mid lane, obviously. But you can also now have a little bit of lane pressure because even though you're against Caitlyn Morgana, Karma is a really good AA support that can put a lot of pressure onto almost any enemy bot lane. And if you have a good AD carry to play around her, maybe something like a Jinx would be nice to see. If not, I think Ashe wouldn't be that bad either, especially with the amount of CC and damage that you have already. I think that Ashe wouldn't be that bad. So it could be interesting watching it. But the Karma and the Udyr, I really, really like it. And like we talked about, Morgana getting picked on the other side pairs up great with the Caitlyn and can do quite a lot with that Black Shield if put in onto the right target. You cannot go haywire with your shield, but if it can be used correctly, you can deny the Udyr quite well.
If you thought Udyr was fast before, just wait till he gets a Karma Shield on him.
Yep.
But as you were touching on, the Morgana pick seems to go over quite well here. You've got the stun bot in the form of Udyr and 2 very good targets to throw a Black Shield on in that Caitlyn and Graves, with potentially more coming through in the second half of the pick phase. Seems like, you know what, it's going to be pretty good. It's going to have a okay time against Karma if this is a Karma in the bot lane. Black Shield able to negate a lot of the damage that Karma is able to do through her Q. And it'll allow Caitlyn to have a little bit more agency and a little bit more
Yep.
presence. And the second half of the ban phase, Acclivity has gotten rid of the Pantheon and the Victor, and it seems like pretty good bans targeted at the side of VBU. As Nightsaw on that Victor had only played it twice this season, but had an average of
Yeah.
10 kills a game, had 20 kills overall. So glad that's off the table. VBU is going to get rid of the Ornn and the Veigar, 2 very powerful champions. Ornn, well, you don't see him nearly as much, still packs a big punch. And Veigar's pretty much been flavor of the month for the last, 2 months?
Yeah, and I'm quite glad that we are seeing the Veigar popping up. Well, popping up now, like you're pointing out, 2 months is quite a long time seeing the Veigar, but I just think he's such a good champion to play with. His event horizon is so good for compositions that either run into you or that would like to just try and burst you out because he can just block you in place with a event horizon, and then if you have more CC, it's so easy to secure kills. So it makes sense that we're seeing the Veigar, like you pointed out, the Victor ban as well. And looking at the picks now, Gragas picked here, potentially going to the top side, but this is still a potential flex. Graves and Gragas can still be flexed between each other, so it's not like it's set on stone that the Gragas will go in the top lane and the Graves into the jungle. The Jace has an answer pick though. I think I really like this idea because it pairs up pretty well with the poke potential that you have with the Kaisa, and then adding onto that the Sivir. I quite like BBU's composition a lot. If it's going to be Sivir poke Sivir, which is the lethality version of her, I'm not against it, but I feel like you should have an insurance policy with the Sivir, so opting into much more damage or consistent damage from her would be ideal. But if not, you can still pair up really well with your champions because at least the theme of poking is all in accordance from the side of BBU.
Listen, there are 2 things that the VBU team composition wants to do. It's run fast and deal damage when you
Yeah,
pair up with that Sivir. I mean, now Karma's shielding. She can AOE. She can AOE shield the team with her mantra shield.
Yeah.
She's gonna get the what's that item? The Shurelias. Team run fast. Jace Gate. Team run fast. Sivir ultimate. Team run fast. I mean, I guess
Oh,
Kaisa
the team
ultimate
run
kind of
extra
counts
fast.
as team run fast.
Yeah.
But I have to say, Acclivity's team composition, I think they've drafted a pretty good one here into
Yep.
VBU's composition. The only issue I could foresee them going through is that maybe they don't have enough sustain. It's really going to be on this Seraphine pick to sustain them through all of the poke that they're going to deal with. But there's some great counter engagement here out of Acclivity. The Morgana ultimate, the
Yep.
Gragas ultimate, the Seraphine ultimate. We could see some fights where VBU is just running to their death.
Yeah, and that's like you pointed out. I think that Acclivity has such a good composition to deny engages and then re-engage. Like if BBU decides to opt into running into them, like we pointed out, with the amount, maybe a necessary amount of speed that they have in their composition, and opt into running into Acclivity, then Acclivity can try and either disengage and then re-engage with their abilities, or just answer in kind because they have great ultimates to respond, like the Seraphine, like the Morgana. Even Kaylin traps can be so impactful in these kind of situations. So I think that Acclivity playing around with a really nice idea. The only thing that I'm kind of worried with is that with maybe it's kind of composition where it's a lot of poke, you typically see that being responded by really hard engage, something that it's so hard to miss that you can easily start fights with. And in this kind of composition that Activity has, it's essentially on the Gragas to try and pull off really hard engage. So if there comes a point like you're pointing out with the Seraphine not being able to provide enough healing, and you need to desperately force something out because you cannot reach the amount of distance that BBU has with the Kaisa, the Jace, and potentially Cyber Poke as well, then what can you do realistically to try and make a fight happen? And if you don't have an answer to that, I can see Acclivity kind of failing in trying to make something happen for their team. Now, their composition is good, but there's going to be instances where a tough decision will happen, and they may not have the answer for that.
Well, what I'm worried about is, do they have an answer to VBU's potential 1-3-1? Like, you can throw an Udyr in the top lane, a Jace in the bottom
True.
lane, and then a Kaisa Karma Sivir. The poke coming out from Kaisa and Karma and Sivir, like, that's going to bring anybody off of towers. And the
Yep.
siege potential there seems pretty strong, even though Kaisa and Sivir are a little short ranged. They have plenty of range on their ability to force the enemy off turrets. And realistically, I think Graves can definitely go toe to toe with an Udyr or a Jace, but I'm not quite sure if Gragas is going to be able to. So if VBU does split into a 1-3-1, I foresee there being problems here for Acclivity.
Yeah, it's a tough choice for Acclivity in a lot of senses. And then when you pointed out the Gragas, there's also the kind of discussion that you have to take into account where does he opt into AP to try and stop the minion waves from pushing? Because in that case, he doesn't necessarily need to be able to fight; he just needs to clear. But if he opts into that, then the poke is going to be much harsher onto the Gragas, and he's essentially not going to be able to answer back. But if he opts into tank building, then he cannot deal the same amount of damage, but he will be able to survive the poke. In which case, then answering in the side lane will probably be a little bit harder for the Gragas, and that's kind of the conditions that you have to meet from the side of Acclivity to be able to fight back, and it seems kind of hard. Also, I think for BBU, and like you're pointing it out, skirmishing is going to be important, and I think Baron buff is going to be the pivotal objective of this game. There's compositions that do rely on other objectives. I think that dragons tend to be much more important sometimes. I think Elder is the most important objective in the game. But for BBU, if they get Baron buff, there's a really high chance that they can not only break the base but win with that Baron buff because they not only have great skirmishing potential, but there's no really good wave clear from the side of Acclivity. You have to depend on Caitlyn traps to not allow for anything to get into the turret, and then Seraphine and Graves being in the same spot because they have the higher AoE damage abilities. If you force the rest of the members into that, then you leave the silence open, and like you're pointing out, 1-3-1 becomes so hard to answer. So there's just so much that BBU can do if they get control over the game that Acclivity, I feel like, don't have an answer for.
Now, there is one thing that Acclivity is particularly good at, and that is setting up for picks. The Morgana binding will root you until the next version of Windows comes out. That is a champion that if you get hit by it, you are probably going to die. With the rest of the power behind this composition, the Caitlyn, the Graves can deal quite a bit of damage. And really,
Yeah,
the
Burst is
only
there.
champion that's able to protect themselves against it is this Sivir. Now, that being said, Acclivity doesn't want to get into a game of chicken over an objective with VBU. They want to be able to use vision control to their advantage and be able to pick off VBU as they try to trickle in. So it will be on Acclivity to make sure they don't fall behind. I mean, it's really hard for Acclivity because, taking a look at their schedule overall, I mean, this is the first of three very difficult games lined up for them,
Yeah.
and they definitely had a bit of an easier schedule in the first half of the season, aside from their game against CB Diamond. So, I mean, if things haven't been working, they need to either change up the strategy or they really need to take a long, hard look in the pregame at what their composition is good at doing and execute it accordingly.
Yeah. It all starts with trying to make the first plan work out. So as long as with the composition that they have drafted, we both agree that it's at least something that you can work with, right? So at least with that, you can try and form steps, easy to execute steps that you can look into and try and make something happen. So for example, get a control over objective, try and get a pick, kill someone, go get objective. If you can look into those kind of things slowly but surely, you will be able to execute this, and this first win may fall into another win, and so on and so forth. Like, you need to be able to make use of easy to execute plans to make your team work out. But if you cannot pull it off at this point, then probably you'll never pull it off, especially because it's already at the end of the season, so you need to actually pull it off. But hopefully with this they can actually do it.
Well, if Acclivity wants to make the playoffs, I don't even know if they have got. I mean, they do have a chance, even though
There's
they're
a
they're
chance, but
currently
not a
0
win.
and 4. There's
Yeah.
certainly a chance, but if they want to make it happen, it needs to start with this game right here, right now. And we are currently having the teams pick their champions as we are going to get into the game very shortly. But before then, we are going to take a short break to get us through the spectator delay and everything like that. So do not go anywhere because we will bring you all the action for game one coming up very soon between VBU Infusion and Acclivity Esports. Here we are, everybody. We are on the Rift here for game one between Acclivity Esports and VBU Infusion. And, this is a big game for either of these teams,
Yep.
realistically speaking. Acclivity looking for their first match win of the season. They've managed to win one game last week, but other than that, have not won any matches yet. And VBU Infusion, they're 2-2 on the season. They're kind of in the middle of the pack right now. And it looks like they're hitting an easier part of their schedule. I am worried though. Next week they have Gothaway Click, and if they're looking ahead to that match, they might be overlooking Acclivity here. And this is an opportunity for Acclivity to play spoiler.
Yeah, cannot ignore a team that is in the bottom end. Like, yes, they don't have any wins, but a beaten dog is actually quite dangerous. So you need to be careful about how you go against it, and you cannot ignore anything that can happen in this game. Even if you take a bad trade at the start, like, you need to actually try and win this game like you would normally do, and then look for the next opponent because it's really risky to not do otherwise. Also, quickly before we move a little bit forward, I want to point out Graves has Ghost. I'm not sure why. I'm kind of surprised,
Zooming.
but it's going to be interesting seeing it. I just feel a little bit worried because if he gets caught out, he may just immediately die.
Yeah, and it could be very easy to get caught out, when your opposing jungler is the Udyr. Both junglers starting
Yep.
on the top side of the map, and you know, taking a look at the potential for this jungle matchup here, it's really a tale of two different junglers. Snoop Dogg is the one that provides all the CC,
Yep.
and the laners do not. And on the other side, it's the complete opposite. Every laner on the side of Acclivity has an opportunity to CC a champion.
Yeah, and you as a Graves will provide most of the damage. That's essentially how it would work out. Okay, missing Link, almost thinking about trade. That could have been way worse than it is.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of the junglers, yeah, it's going to be important to see how the Grave does perform and how Snoop Dogg does perform as well. Because, like you're pointing out, he's the main CC, but he's also the one that will need to impact the lanes early on. Like Graves doesn't quite need to do this. He could just power farm, and later on he will get the impact as a carry champion in the jungler. But the Udyr needs to have impact early on. He needs to create impact for his laner so that you can get a lot of value and go into the mid game quite strong as a champion.
And not only that, what worries me is, everybody on Acclivity does have opportunities to disengage from this Udyr.
Yeah.
And when that's your only point of CC, while the lanes seem like they can be pretty strong, it seems like Kai'Sa's a fairly decent mid laner at this point in her League of Legends life. You've got Tiny Asian Boy and Sigify providing plenty of poke, and then Jace up in the top lane. It seems like it shouldn't be that hard for these lanes to have control, but that does make it easier for them to get ganked.
Yep, it's a risk that you kind of have to be playing around with, even if you can be strong and you provide a lot of poke and damage. Like, there's quite a lot. Oh, wait.
Oh, he is just going for it. He has gone full ghost. Will land the stun under the turret. Bondi is all of a sudden taking a whole lot of damage. Nightstall's flashing forward to try to finish this one off, getting first blood and just outside of the turret range. First blood going over to this Kai'Sa, but now in the bottom lane,
Oh,
Obito Uchiha is here. He's ghosted up. He forces a flash, binding landed onto Sigify. Sigify exhausted, missing link, flashing forward. They're going to find a kill as well. So it's a 1-for-1 overall. Big ganks by each of the junglers.
yeah, really nice use out of the coast by both junglers. Ooh, that was a heavy trade, but not much obtained. I think really unlucky that the binding was used onto onto the Karma instead of the Sivir, because Sivir not only has the spell shield, but she also is running cleanse. So if she gets hit, it doesn't matter. Or maybe not unlucky, actually nicely read by trading flashes, getting the hit onto the Karma. And Karma, you have to flash that preemptively, because if not, we see what happens. She gets bursted out and dies quite easily. Great gang timing by the Graves, great gang timing by both. If I'm honest, both junglers executing really well. And I feel like more importantly, the carries are the ones that get the kills, not the junglers. Which I think in the case of wait,
Oh, I like what they're doing down here. Obito just trying to shove in this wave, allowing
yeah,
Missing Link to reset. But while that was going on, Snoop Dogg was able to go through, take both Scuttle Crabs, and is now inside of the Graves jungle. And that is somewhat problematic here, as it looks like Graves is starting to fall behind.
Yeah, and that's not something that usually happens or see happen with the Graves. Because of the time that he spent in the bottom lane jungle, in the bottom lane, he ended up missing a lot of timings to go for farm, and actually great capitalization by Snoop Dogg. This is something that you love to see out of junglers, where yes, a play may happen on one side, but if you answer accordingly on the other side, you're doing quite well to just not allow for that advantage or that lead to get out of control. And he even steals essentially the top side jungler apart from the red buff. That is
He just read
so
this man like
much.
a book.
Yeah.
That is really bad. Like
What a crazy dude.
Obito is probably like a level and a half behind at this point.
Yeah,
That is,
essentially.
yeah, he's only able to clear his bottom side right now. It's going to be his Wolves, it's going to be his Grom, but I mean, he'll at least be in the area for the Dragon, but Snoop Dogg is going to be massive.
Yeah, and importantly, he backed as well, so he got the Bami Cinder. So it's not like he needs to reset. Oh wait, top lane,
It looks like
quite a lot of
everything is
damage.
fine, but, you know, as a Syrian taking a whole lot of damage, if he was level 6, that would have been a great fight for that Gragas, but
Yeah.
not so, not quite yet. Dragon started up here, but Obito is
Oh,
just
Black Shield was
face
huge.
tagging it, and they're making a full engage here. Signify
Oh.
gonna have to try to cut it out. Binding has been landed. They are going to be able to potentially find Snoop Dogg. He's going to burn the flash, but it's a kill for the Graves. Graves securing the Dragon, and now Nightsaw is in a 1v4 situation. He came, he saw, and he died, as Bondi is going to be able to pick up a kill, and things going right for Acclivity here.
Yeah, really disjointed way of fighting out of the side of BBU. I was really expecting them to force a fight really nicely, especially because Black Shield was used onto the killing so early on. But importantly, the Sivir was not in position. She was still pushing the wave, which means that she arrived late to the potential fight. The Kai'Sa tried to rotate around like you would normally with a mid laner, but you're at this point you're not hitting as hard as your normal mid laner, and she's really dependent on hitting W. So the fact that she was caught out was such an easy kill to collect. No flash, so nice by both anglers. Oh wait,
Uh-oh. More big plays
this
out of
should be
this Graves. Tiny Asian boy
fine.
getting
Oh,
very low. One more
oh,
auto attack should do it. No, it's not quite
oh
enough.
no!
The smoke screen not quite having the range on it either. No summoners burnt out of that bot lane. And meanwhile, oh, Umbito hitting level 6. Sivir's hanging around. This could be bad news.
Yeah, Sivir should already be at base, although we see on the other side, once again, Snoop Dogg stealing the camps out of Graves, so even though a play looks really nice, he's here once again.
Oh, he's
Oh,
looking for this kill. He whiffs the ultimate. Collateral damage gone, much like the top side of
oh,
the red jungle. Trading Flash is getting very low. It looks like there's going to be a dive set up on the top side as there's
yeah, there's
a
three
dive on
top.
the bot side. Assyrian trying to find a way out of it. Snoop Dogg doing a great job of tanking
Oh,
up.
no!
Nightsaw is going to pick it up, and then Obito will die as well in the bottom lane. Disaster strikes, and all of a sudden VBU Infusion, they've gotten their breath of fresh air back into this game.
Yeah, they wanted to try and pull off a dive, just like what it was happening on the top side, but the dive execution was a little bit harsher to pull off. You already messed up ultimate as Oviedo. You didn't have the Karma in a good position, the Morgana, I mean, in a good position, and I feel more importantly as well, these kind of dives work out better if you have someone that can effectively tank. In comparison to the top dive that we saw, you have the Udyr that is a tanky champion that can tank quite well the tower shots, but the Graves is not bad. Even though he gets extra armor and magic resist, you don't have extra health. And it was so easy to just collapse onto the Graves that was overdiving. You get the kill, and a situation that was looking bright for the side of Acclivity turns really bad. Oh,
Oh, here's another gank. Good stuff by Bondi. Perfect amounts of CC. 2 kills on the Seraphine right now. As Nightsaw not having the greatest of games. But Snoop Dogg, you know, has just decided I'm going to sack my jungler and farm it up. And is really starting to lap at this Graves. The problem with that, though, is now the Seraphine is able to help out the Graves in the bottom lane. Lots of damage going down onto Signify here, getting lower and lower. Ace in the hole. Looks like it just got used there and was blocked by Tiny Asian Boy.
yeah, you have the spell shield, so
Yeah, it's pretty free. You know, you're just going to take the mana and be pretty happy with it. Although, I
yeah.
mean, there's not too much more Signify can do right now, and the pressure is on for the bottom lane of VBU.
Yeah, this is something that we kind of expected because of the range difference, so it's not that weird to see it happen. But I feel like still Sivir and Karma doing a really nice job, not only keeping up in farm, but putting quite a lot of pressure onto the enemy bot lane. And I think ideally, making it so that Graves does have to put a little bit of attention down there. Because if you do push a little bit harder, obviously it feels like an easy kill for the jungler, but that makes it so that, as we have seen, Snoop Dogg has a lot of time to go steal the jungle, get even farther ahead of the Graves, like he's going to do again, and just keep on making the Graves' life miserable.
A little bit of housekeeping here. Seraphine had burnt the teleport to go into the mid lane.
Oh,
Snoop Dogg with a very quick mythic and also has the Eye of the Herald in
yep.
the inventory, as we didn't really touch too much upon that, but seemed like a pretty foregone conclusion at that point after the top dive. And Snoop Dogg continuing to make a living
Maybe
inside the
another one.
jungler of Obito. And now potential engagement onto this Gragas. The stun does land. There comes the shock blast. And let me tell you, Snoop Dogg
Yep.
is definitely tanky enough to tank a lot of turret shots. That's going to be a kill over to this Udyr. Nightstall trying to get the jump onto Bondi, but Bondi's going to be A-okay. And the Eye of the Rift Herald getting expended up here in the top lane. And the bot lane of Acclivity had recalled, so there's not really too much they can do here.
Yeah, the timing at which Acclivity is doing certain things is just benefiting way too much the side of BBU. They get the kill on top lane, they use the Reef Herald, they are even denying CS because the turret doesn't fully go down, so this is just even worse and worse for the Gragas. Like, he's so far behind in CS already at this point. The bot lane is not getting punished, mid lane is not getting punished, the Graves is getting punished as well because he stole, the Udyr stole his topside jungle as well. So it's just really harsh for the side of Acclivity to get quite a lot. They respond with the dragon, which is nice. Oh wait,
Yeah. Could be a potential engagement on the Nightstall here in the top lane. Mario's just going back with the Assyrian. Flash burnt by the Kaisa. Now missing Link all alone in the bot lane here, but no engagement. The Sivir ultimate was available, not expended. But, I mean, we do have to give Obito some credit here.
yeah,
Despite being pretty far behind and their jungle being pillaged, securing 2 dragons. They've got a mythic here at 12 minutes. Not so bad. Second fastest mythic in the game. And you know what? They've provided quite a bit of pressure for his laners.
yeah, he's doing quite a nice job trying to at least make something happen. Like, yes, he has been pillaged. Oh wait, ulti.
Uh-oh. Marios has no mana. Assyrian has plenty of health.
Oh,
So no! Hammer time, baby! Slam the hammer down. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. And Marios, I didn't think he was going to be able to pick up that solo kill, but
I thought it was there.
just able to pick that one up, and that is massive.
Yeah, if you told me that someone dies on that trade, I would have said it's the Jace 100%, right? But
Yeah.
he not only gets the kill, he takes down the top lane turret. They need to be careful about not getting collapsed here. Although,
Well, he's
do
not
they
going to be
really
able
want to
to.
steal this?
He's not going to be able to help out Snoop
Oh,
Dogg here,
you
but
gotta.
the smite is going to go the way of this Udyr. He's going to blast plant his way out later, as one
Okay, Marius is dead.
old famous streamer would say. Obito Uchiha here in the 1v1 against Marios, and let me tell you, Marios does not have the HP for that one. Collateral damage expended. That is going to be a kill for the jungler.
He greeted for that last wave. He saw the Udyr stealing the
Should
red
have
buff
done it.
out of the graves. And he just decides to stay there. He does pay with his life, but all in all, not bad for BBU. Like, yes, they lose the Jace, but they got so much when you think about it all over the map. They get the turret, they get the kill onto the Gragas. The Graves loses its res buff even though he gets a kill, and now a flash out of the Caitlyn.
Yeah, it looks like Tiny Asian Boy and Signify starting to come together. This bot lane has been pretty consistent for the side of VBU,
Yeah.
but it is time for them to level up. They need to go from being consistent to being a feared bot lane if this team wants to go deep into the playoffs. And, right now they're pumping out quite a bit of damage. They're eked out a small lead for themselves so far in the CS department. Gold, though, is rather even between these 80 carries.
Yeah, there's not much of a difference. Although now supports will get a little bit. Oh no, there's not enough. There's no plates anymore, so you
No.
cannot get that difference there. Unlucky. But anyway, on the gold. Now that we're talking about the gold difference, pretty much like you're pointing out, bot lane is pretty similar. Mid lane as well. Not that much of a difference in favor of the Seraphine, but not much. But the main difference is on the top lane. It's
It's
3,000
massive.
gold, almost 3,000. But for the Chase, it's so much gold against these Gragas, and Gragas is in such a tough spot already. So early on. Oh,
Uh-oh, Tiny Asian Boy in a whole lot of trouble. Is going to use the ultimate. Use the cleanse as well. Not sure if that was necessary. Ace in the hole, good enough to get a kill there. Bondi getting exhausted, going to have to flash away as Nightstall's in hot pursuit, trying to pick up on a kill there, but is unable to. And one thing I will say about Marios, It's nice to see them play a carry champion like Jace. Their pool's been a little bit interesting. I wanted to see them on a champion like this. And you know what? I'm glad that that was the choice here because
Yeah,
they've played a great game.
I-
Ooh, good flash.
yeah, almost getting a solo kill as well. But yeah, I do agree with you. I feel like being able to play Jace is always such a nice advantage for a team because Jace is one of the quintessential top lane champions. But not only because he has so much pressure, his value in the later stage of the game doesn't feel like it falls off. Like with the mana immune lethality build, you actually are so impactful later on. And you kill really easily squished as well. So if you're able to actually make use of this champion, it's always great to have at your disposal. And I feel like Marius has been doing a pretty nice job. Maybe missing a couple of trades here and there, overstaying in the lane. But apart from that, really doing nice to try and make the most out of the champion. And I feel like a really nice first game for him in this match.
He's really gotten his money's worth out of the first strike
Yep.
rune because you can just hear it every single time, just the cha-chings going off constantly. So we do see some
Oh, Snoop
action
Dogg.
going on here. Looks like everything's okay here, Snoop Dogg. It's just way too fast. There's too much shielding at this point, and VBU looking to set up for the dragon. They might be down in kills, but they are certainly up in gold. Trying
Yep.
to use money no jutsu in order to potentially gain a foothold on these dragons, and just the massive amounts of damage. And we talked about it in the pregame. This poke was going to be a problem.
Yeah. Oh, the root.
Uh-oh. We also said that this was going to be a problem. They found Marios. Here's one-man taunt because Tiny Asian Boy was able to use the shield. Assyrian
Waste piece
very
of
low,
bot.
trying to survive. Obito Uchiha on the bot side. 1v1's Night Saw. And just like that, Acclivity takes the fight. 2 kills
Yeah.
for nothing. And you know what? I love when this happens because we look so smart. Exactly what we said was going to happen in these fights happened all in the same fight.
Yeah, you get a pick, you execute the champion as soon as possible, you enforce the rest of the team to be in a bad spot. And this is, I feel, not only on Acclivity for taking the chance, but also on BBU for failing to try and do what their composition is supposed to do. Like, they started really well with the poke, but the Sivir separates from the team, the Kaisa is alone fighting. Oh, wait, Vito?
Oh, from the side, Graves, his flanks have been insane. Heal forced out there from Signify. His Tiny Asian Boy had just enough blood in their big toe left to sustain them.
Yeah.
And right now, I mean, Acclivity's put themselves on Soul Point. This is a different Acclivity that we are seeing tonight.
Yeah, they're trying to do a lot of good things. They have been able to execute something really, really nice in the overall sense of the game, and they are just now setting themselves to get that dragon. I feel like if not for the fact, and this is something that I failed to comment on, but even though Obito lose quite a lot of camps, he did really nicely collecting those dragons so early on. With the pressure that he had, always was able to get those dragons, and now putting the team with a soul point, with a soul essentially, yeah, soul point to get that soul of the Hexic Dragon and allow for the team to even force the Elder maybe a little bit earlier. Also, shrinking the lead because the gold lead was a little bit larger for the side of BBU, but now it's much more closer, so the fights can be a little bit easier to fight around for the side of Acclivity.
The stalwart of Acclivity missing a link. 3-0-1 right now. The only player to play every game in their role for them this season. And you know what? They've been okay. They're a top 10 player when it comes to kills per game in the league.
True.
And, you know, they've picked up 3 right here. And, you know, while the team is down, they are playing a fairly solid game. They're matching CS right now. And, you know, Caitlyn, as we know, will get very strong and very scary the later the game goes on. Assyrian, a little bit behind earlier, but as long as they're making their impacts known in fights, I mean, it looks like the 3 carries of Acclivity are ready to do some carrying.
Yeah, the important part is to not get consistently poked out because some of the champions are still waiting to get there. Oh, Obito.
Yeah, they're in hot pursuit here. Mario's just so much damage right now.
No
It's Bondi
flash.
and Obito. They're going to land the charm. They're going to find the kill. It's a killing spree for Bondi right now. And
Yep.
VBU just has no answer for this team composition.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing that you're putting yourself when you're drafting obviously a lot of poke. It's the lack of potential fight sometimes because you're actually quite dependent on your poke. But I think that Mario is really bad from him. The fact that he's playing so far ahead without any vision control, it was so easy for the Graves to sleep behind him, and they just collect the kills so easily. This vision control, this lack of vision control, is something that we talked about, and how if Acclivity could take advantage of it, was going to benefit them so much, and they just did with that one kill as well onto the Graves. onto the Jace. Also pushing the bot lane. I really like this.
You know, I've rated VBU pretty highly, just looking at their roster and looking at the games that they played in the first 4 games of the season. It was a rather tough schedule, and they walked out of that 2-2. And now that I'm actually able to watch them play and cast, I can see why they're 2-2. They are really having a hard time right now with
Yeah.
not to shame them or anything. A
Oh,
team that is
Tiny.
seen as the worst team in the league, and Missing Link pumping out a ton of damage, forcing Tiny Asian Boy back. There's Summoner's Burnt there, but a Gale Force down for the Caitlyn. As the Dragon, the Hextech Drake looms in a minute and 20 seconds. Well, the pressure that Jace is looking to put on here, looking to stretch the map a little bit, is VBU. Let's see how good their map play is here when they're staring Soul in the face.
Yeah, it's going to be really important to be able to make the most out of this pressure. The Jace has teleport as well, so we may see just the Jace focusing on top lane, but there's a lot of minions pushing onto these turrets. Someone has to respond. Yeah, the Gragas has to go quickly. Also, I think it's important to note there's still no mythic on the Kai'Sa, but importantly, the mana minions need to be charged. For this last fight, having mana minion fully charged is actually really important for the damage of the Kai'Sa to be so much more impactful than it previously was. She also needs to get the mythic as well.
Yeah, I mean, both these 80s carries have had their Mana Moon pretty early, but they just have not gotten there yet. And they, like as you said, they really need to. Bondi teleporting to that mid turret, so there won't be a mid fight teleport here. And missing a mythic in the mid lane, that could be massive. But take a look at the damage Obito has taken right now. Has to be forced off. They're looking for a pick. The spell shield is down.
Bind.
Snoop Dogg has been rooted. It looks like Acclivity trying to make their move here. Here
Oh,
comes the
the
Seraphine
ulti.
ultimate. It's going to hit 2. Here they go. Look at all the damage coming down. Trading flashes is going to hit a big Soul Shackle. Obito leading the charge. Looking to get some
Obito.
damage down. Marios is going to die. It's a double kill for Jason's
Oh.
3v3. Obito goes in and gets exhausted. They're going to
Evaded.
fall. Missing Link and Bondi in a 2v3 right now. Tiny Asian Boy taking a lot of damage, but look at the members that are still alive for VBU. It's the jungler, it's the AD carry, and it's the mid laner. Plenty of damage between these champions. Missing
cannot beat
Link
the
and
poke, though.
Bondi. They're trying to stall this out, waiting for somebody else. Snoop Dogg is getting low. Tiny Asian Boy is getting slowed. They're just playing a game of chicken here, and it's okay to play this game of chicken because there's no Jace.
Yeah.
As long as you're dodging Nightsaw's W's, here comes the teleport as the Syrian has respawned, looking to try to come in. Here's the Gale Force forward. Nightsaw now getting very low. The Dragon's been started. Sigify is here. Marios is here. So is Trading Flashes, but Obito is nowhere to be found. Big
wait, the
shock
stun, though?
blast. They've rooted the Jace, but they don't have the damage nor the health. Marios is going to find that kill. Obito trying
is
to
coming
come in.
again, though.
They desperately want this soul. He is zooming right now, right toward the Drake. Who's going to get it? Missing Link on a rampage.
Oh, he got it.
Snoop Dogg is going to secure the Drake. Missing Link goes down, but the Graves is going to run the rest of the fight. Going to pick up a double kill, and that is not quite an ace because Tiny Asian Boy managed to live. Lots of kills going everywhere. Bottom line, Dragon secured for VBU.
Yeah, they were able to luckily at the end secure the dragon. They are going to lose this mid lane turret, potentially the next one as well. But what a long and so tedious fight in my opinion as well. That fight didn't need to be that long, especially the later parts when the Caitlyn and the Seraphine alone managed to put so much pressure onto the Kai'Sa and the Saber and the Udyr. But I feel like it was really important the amount of poke that was missed in that fight. From Nitro particularly, you need to hit those W's to allow for then the Udyr to be much more proactive and much more potentially aggressive onto those two champions. But because nothing was hit, then the Caitlyn and the Seraphine were in such a spot that it didn't matter for them what was going on because they never got hit, they never got damage, so it was easier for them to dish out themselves the damage. So they luckily are able to collect the dragon, and it means that now they're in a spot where with the next 4 minutes they're going to be not only much stronger, but the poke is going to hurt even more than it did already.
It was a clutch shock blast by that Jace to be able to make sure that Snoop Dogg had an opportunity to get into the pit and secure the dragon. But as you said in the pregame, these underdogs, they've got some bite to them. The gold lead pretty even, just about 700 difference here. And everybody's so strong. Trading Flash is just taking so much damage. But yes, like you said, the Baron has been started up, but these W's from Nightsaw are doing so much damage. The Mythic finally on this Kai'Sa. And That's going to force off Acclivity here.
Yeah, the thing is that I feel like if they don't force the Baron here or like they're doing this objective, Jace doesn't have teleport. So as long as nothing important is being lost, he can just keep on pushing and no response will happen. This is a nice 5-man push because there's a lot of champions separated all over the map, so they can actually collect this turret and potentially even the inhibitor turret as well. Oh, Marius?
Marios is tanking this one up, looking to take it down, and they're going to trade. So bottom and top inner turrets gone for each team. And it does look like Tiny Asian Boy trying to take mid inner. The rotation from the Jace is there, and the Baron hasn't been started yet. It needs to be soon, and there's more damage coming out. Missing Link getting low. They've caught the 2. Is anybody close? The stuns are out. There's going to be a kill. They're going to find Nightsaw, and just like that, the poke is gone. However, Marios is here and doing a lot of damage to trading flashes up front. The Baron, though, it's going to shred the armor and MR of these guys. They're looking to make a turn. It looks like they're just kind of waffling on whether or not they want to finish this off. Trading flashes is low. Snoop Dogg ghosting. Down goes the Morgana. Marios does way too much damage. Tiny Asian Boy there as well with the boomerang blades coming out doing a lot as the Baron has reset. Obito Uchiha is trying to get into the thick of things. He has that Guardian Angel. Ghost has been burnt from the graves, but he's using it to run away here. Looks like he's trying to keep Udyr away, and it's going to have to be a reset for Acclivity here.
Yeah, they took way too long to opt into the Baron. The poke, even though the Kai'Sa is down, you still have 2 champions that do provide a lot of poke damage. And importantly, I love the pick. Don't get me wrong. I think that was such a smart idea because it caught out the Kai'Sa out of position. She couldn't do anything. She was immediately killed. But the problem with using that from Bondi is that then when the next members were coming to use the poke, you could not utilize the ultimate. There was no there was nothing threatening out of the composition from Acclivity at that point. Even if Gragas had flash ultimate, like they were able to still poke out like normal and nothing would have scared them. The Seraphine ultimate is quite important for those fights to work out for the side of Acclivity, and that not being up was quite detrimental for them in that Baron buff at them. Even though I think the pick was smart, it's just such an important ultimate.
We talked about the vision control was going to be paramount for Acclivity to avoid this sort of poke. They don't have it right now, and just you could see the damage is just coming out in spades for the side of VBU. Their composition is finally online. Nightsaw and Marios from downtown. The Splash Brothers, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, putting out plenty of damage. And now a fight breaking out, dodging a shock blast. Obito is on the wrong side of this fight. Ace in the hole from Caitlyn is going to hit Nightsaw, but it's not going to do a whole lot as they're trying to force away VBU. Bondi trying to do what they can to regen the HP for this squad. They're taking a lot of damage themselves.
Snoop Dogg?
Here comes the Drake. Snoop Dogg, though, is on the wrong side of the tracks. He's been rooted up. Why did you do it, Snoop Dogg? He's trying to lead the team in a wild goose chase, but Assyrian is going to be able to find the kill. Trading flashes and Bondi. The shock blasts, they are doing a whole lot of damage. Missing Link flashing the wall is going to force the flash out of Nightsaw. And now the game of chicken continues, but the poke is still here. The shock blast doing so much damage. But this dragon getting low. Obito under pressure making plays. Gonna take the Drake. And now the Guardian Angel going to be popping. Marios is gonna fall. It's going to be, oh my god, Nightsaw hitting a big W, finding a kill under trading flashes. And now he's gonna go in for it with that killer instinct.
Got baited.
Exhaust, but Obito doesn't care about your exhaust. Picking up a double. The pings on the Baron go down. This team has finally secured the soul. And let me tell you something. Acclivity came to play tonight.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if BBU is actually trying to play to win because those were some of the most baited plays I have seen all year round. Like you intentionally as the Udyr in a place where you have no vision control because you have no vision inside the enemy jungler. Try to use the Hex Gate to then easily get collapse. Also, quickly to point this out, trading flashes. Great flash because I feel like if I'm not wrong, he flashed in to get the distance to get the Dark Binding. Really nice play, really nice decision making. Getting the kill onto the other is all thanks to that Morgana. And the series of events that after that, I love the attempt then after BBU to try and put pressure onto that dragon with the poke and then the flash from Marius to try and kill the Graves before the dragon is dead. Doesn't achieve the kill, but it's a nice attempt. But I feel like you have to blame quite heavily Snoop Dogg for that play because everything would have worked out normally if he doesn't go in for that Hex Gate that was completely useless. That was so unnecessary in so many levels that I just kind of feel flabbergasted by that bait that the Udyr fell for.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, the confusion in both of our voices, I'm sure you'll be able to hear on a replay
Yep.
when he did that. It was unfathomable at this time. That being said, you can see the damage is clearly still there for VBU. They are not quite out of it yet. And I mean, the gold data E is evened up, but you can just, this damage that's going to be coming out from this Hextech Soul is going to do a heck of a lot. It's going to help them clear out some waves as well. And all they have to do is really find one more hard engagement while jockeying for
Ooh, the
position, and they should
blind.
be okay. The bind goes out. Doesn't matter how much poke damage you do if you are dead. And Snoop Dogg got knocked into the other two members. Ace in the hole, landing on Tiny Asian Boy, but he blocked it and got caught by the ultimate from
Once again,
Seraphine.
Snoop Dogg.
Huge fight here for Acclivity as they're pushing forward. Night Soul on the backside is going to have to kill her instinct and run away. Obito is just running down the karma. Down you go. This could be the death march.
I'm simply so surprised to see BBU being so dumb about how they need to take this fight.
This
Kaisa
is
may
it.
try to go for it. Yeah, that's it. They have
They
minions,
forced
they
off
have
Night
damage.
Saw.
Kaisa is dying by herself. That's it.
Whoa.
That's game.
And just like that, these underdogs, they have stunned VBU here in game one. A 31-minute banger. And let me tell you, poke be damned. They don't care. They dealing the damage here and they take game one.
Yeah, like poke is great. It's great if you know how to use it, not dying randomly. But I gotta give credit to Acclivity here. I really feel like we watched the game between an underdog and the actual team that is 2-2. But I would have guessed that it's Acclivity that is 2-2 and not BBU, because it felt like the underdogs were trying to do something with the poke, trying to make it work out. They had a right idea, but they couldn't execute. In comparison, the team that is actually 2-2 went in for the right place, got control, got everything done correctly, and were able to win the game at the end. Huge credit to Obito, because he did so much to not only put his team in a good spot with the two dragons, with the continuous ganks that even though some failed, some didn't, it made the team be much more comfortable. It felt like that, and then him being the essentially the main carry. Caitlyn was more of a secondary carry in my opinion, and then Surfing was there to provide extra support. But he himself, I feel like essentially carried, did so much damage, and he put the team on his back in this game.
Yeah, and this is a unique permutation for this lineup.
Yeah.
These five have not played together. And maybe this is the turnaround.
Yeah,
Maybe this is the turnaround for Acclivity here. Maybe this is the way they are able to go and try to make playoffs, or at the very least play spoiler. And if you're VBU, I mean, you really can't afford to lose this game. You
Yep.
cannot afford to lose this match after everything you've gone through in the early parts of the season. And realistically, maybe they are looking ahead toward Gothboy Click, like we mentioned earlier, instead of focusing on this game, and that could be their downfall.
Yeah, it's a thing that feels like always happen in almost every sport. When you know that you have a tougher opponent later on, you ignore the ones that seems like an easier match. And realistically, it should be an easier match. Like, just the standings wise, you're ahead of them. You supposedly played better than them, and you're looking at a team that was much more feared than Acclivity in comparison. But this always and really always in the sports, it just smells like the potential underdog turnaround that can start something great, maybe not. But if you can take a game away from BBU in these circumstances, you play a spoiler essentially for BBU, and you can just not only your season may be over, but you can make someone's season be over. So that's also something that some people like. I wouldn't be against it if I'm honest. And I'm quite glad that Acclivity is doing this, because it shows that yes, they may be the last place team, but you shouldn't ignore any team in any circumstance, because unless you win quickly or unless the Nexus explodes, the games will never end and you will have a chance to win.
Let me tell you something. I would like to see Acclivity go on a run here. This team,
Yeah.
we've left them all for dead. Everybody has put them last in the power rankings, and it's hard not to with how they've played. But maybe this particular lineup might be able to scratch out some wins here. And VBU, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board. They're going to have to get right and maybe draft something else going into this second game, because let me tell you, this Poe composition, while you could see what it could do, they were just unable to avoid getting engaged on.
Yeah, I feel like it's funny because even though they went for the poke composition, which I think is smart, we always saw them trying to make the fight happen. Like they were opting into walking towards the enemy team, and this is something that we pointed out in draft. Acclivity had such a great composition for stopping engages. They were so their composition works out so well against that because they have so much CC, so much champions that single out a target and can kill quickly. And it feels like BBU didn't realize this. We saw so many times how one member gets cut out, they lose the fight, and it happened quite a lot. Like I think they won 2 fights essentially where poke was really meaningful, but apart from that, it was completely controlled by Acclivity, and Acclivity knew what their composition needed to do, and it felt like the side of BBU didn't.
Well, VBU is going to have to get into this next game and try to understand their composition a little bit better. Do not go anywhere. We are going to put together the lobby and stuff like that. We're going to cut it to a very short break, but when we return, we will see if these teams are going to change up anything in the drafts, as we will be heading to the draft for Game 2 between VBU Infusion and Acclivity Esports. Welcome back in, everybody. We are in the draft here for Game 2 between Acclivity and VBU Infusion. TDS, I don't think either of us expected that, man.
No, I felt like after the first 15 minutes, it should have been a BBU victory just because of how things were kind of working out. And then the Hex Gate happened. But hey, everything can happen again in a game. Credit to Acclivity for performing like they did. And I feel like there's going to be a little bit more focus towards Obito because I feel like his performance in the first game does require BBU to pay more attention towards him.
Right, and let me tell you, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to have enough money to PayPal Snoop Dogg for another play like that. So we will see what Acclivity is made of here in this second game, because I guarantee you, VBU Infusion, they're going to feel like they wanted that one back, and
Yeah.
I'd imagine that they're going to come out with a little something extra this game.
What could they pull off that we would be surprised about? Maybe a cinched?
I mean, ah, potentially, it is in the wheelhouse of Marios, and it was so refreshing to see Marios on something else, and then they go
Yeah.
and lose. Like, that's so frustrating. But
Yeah.
they have plenty of other champions that they can play. They've got some carry champions that they can play up in the top lane. So we'll have to see what they end up pulling out or if they go along with it. Acclivity very scared of that Kaisa. It left a mark on that last game. So instead of banning Corki this time, they are going. I'm sorry. Instead of banning Poppy this time, they are going to ban that Kaisa. And once again, Obito is going to get that Graves.
Yeah, opting into the Graves, the one that performed really well in the previous game. I'm not against it from a clarity 100%. And this still could be a potential flex. Like, even though Graves was playing in the jungle, like you could see it in the top lane as well. And it's great that they are able to play around this kind of flex picks. Now, okay, BBU not opting into a flex, maybe. Bane getting picked, and once again, Udyr, I'm not against the Udyr either. The Bane here is quite interesting because if it falls into the bot lane, it's a little bit too early because she could get countered, and that's one of the more scary parts of the Bane if she gets consistently countered. But if it is flexed and you can play it in the solo lane, that would be an interesting mix that BBU could play around with, especially after seeing how Marius performed in the previous game. It would be fun to see him once again in another with another carry.
Yeah, and it does appear that VBU Infusion, I mean, they're totally fine with running back this jungle matchup. I mean,
Yeah.
let's call it what it is. Snoop Dogg did get the better of that matchup. It is going to be interesting to see what Acclivity is going to pull out in the mid lane because that Seraphine is banned, so Bondi is going to have to go on to something else. The Jin is the selection this time for the AD carry for Acclivity. And they've played a couple of Jin games. Well, actually, no, they've just played one Jin game, but that's okay. And it looks like it's going to be Lux. The pick here for Acclivity could slot into either support or mid lane, and we all know Lux can be quite annoying.
Yeah, especially with a champion that can pair up really well with her CC. Jin, Kaylin are the ones that I feel typically come to mind, maybe in the bot lane in the bot lane. So I really like the idea that they're opting into. Pantheon getting picked here. He was banned in the second phase in the
Mm-hmm.
previous game. Is it going to be a Bane Pantheon lane or is it going to actually be a solo lane Pantheon? I'm
I gotta
actually
be
quite
honest,
interested
I
in
got
this.
no idea. Like, it's probably going to be a Pantheon top. Mario's has had a couple of
Okay.
games this season on the Pantheon, has had pretty solid success. So, it's going to be a stark difference from the Jace they played in the last game. Looking at the second half of bans, it's Gragas and Ornn once again going out of this game. Victor banned for on the side of Acclivity. Again, they don't want
Yeah.
Nightsaw to pick up that Victor. It seems like a champion that has just been it still terrorizes people. Late game
Yeah.
Victor is not something to be trifled with. Vagar, the other ban as well. So the bans are all set. The first three picks are all set. What do these compositions need, TDS? What would you put in here for this VBU team?
I think BBU has quite a lot of engage. I feel something to allow for that engage to have even more impact. Maybe something like a Nautilus Leona or even Karma with the movement speed would be great. I think that's something that also pairs up well with the Bane would be nice. I didn't expect that at all. Blitzcrank is kind of a wild card in the sense that even though he's really kind of strange and he can get punished. If you are able to get one of these squishy champions, Luke's Jin, Graves, you do have enough damage in CC to burst them out, which I really like out of BBU with the Blitzcrank. So I'm not completely against this. The problem is that you may just get completely pushed in the lane and not have a lot of priority, which would be a little bit bad for the Udyr. But apart from that, I really like the pick, and I feel like it pairs really well with the Pantheon and the Udyr.
Yeah, big reason why Udyr was able to go around and make plays in the last game is because while sometimes they were pushed in, the priority was pretty even in the lanes, and then once
Yeah.
Udyr came down and got them ahead, it was all over. Um, and Acclivity was actually able to just take control of the lane for a while and just allow Udyr to do whatever he wanted. But yeah, Blitzcrank, as you said, you kind of sack the lane with him, but you can do quite a bit of damage in the late game by pulling a squishy target. LeBlanc the pickup here for the side of Acclivity. That one looks like it's going to go over to Bondi. I am a huge LeBlanc fan. Champion does a whole lot of damage and does a very good job of getting away from champions like Udyr, Pantheon, and Blitzcrank.
Yeah, she has quite a lot of mobility. She has CC as well. Burst damage, which I think this composition from Acclivity does like quite a lot, based on a lot of the champions that they drafted for themselves, particularly the Lux and the Jin. So I feel like does do quite a nice job to try and make the most out of this LeBlanc. Now, the Bex as a counter pick, I feel like one of the more common responses to LeBlanc, to Ari as well, if the Ari was Hubbard, which I was thinking maybe Ari would have been the pick here, but LeBlanc is fine as well. And I feel like I really like BBU's infusion composition in this game as well. You have a lot of potential damage from the Vex, from the Vayne as well. You have great engage with the Udyr, the Pantheon, even the Vex falling in, and then you have quite nice peak potential with the Blitzcrank. So overall, I feel like there's a nice round balance between what they have. The only thing that I'm kind of scared of is if they fall behind, there's no really a nice intermediary or a nice way to try and transition from the early to mid to late game. So if they fall behind in the early game, it's going to be quite difficult for them to try and stay neutral until the late game where the Vayne shine. And in that case, then Acclivity spikes really well in the mid game, and they can destroy a lot of these champions if they are not in a good spot. So that's kind of the only thing that I'm afraid with this BBU composition.
Yeah, well said. To be honest with you, it does seem like that is the case. Again, you could opt into a bit of a 1-3-1. Pantheon is a fine solo lane force, not
Yep.
nearly as good as the Jace that was played in the last game, but it is something that you can do. That being said, you would probably want to be grouped up in a death ball to, you know, help out the Blitzcrank picks a little bit more, make sure that you're absolutely killing your targets dead. On the
Yep.
other side, though, Acclivity, their team composition does have some picks set up from the Lux and the Jin, even LeBlanc to a certain extent. But other than that, it seems to be once again another run at them composition like it was in the last game. I'm sorry, it seems to be a run at them composition like VBU had in the last game, where Mundo was just going to
Yeah.
be walking forward, throwing cleavers. That said, we did see last game the jungler for Acclivity do a ton of work. Obito was coming in through a lot of creative angles on this Graves, and if they're able to do it again this game, all of a sudden the Acclivity team composition seems a lot better.
Yeah, he was always able. I don't know how, like you're pointing out, but he was always able to single out one of the carries from the side of Acclivity, from the side of BBU, and kill them. Which in most fights, it actually netted them an important lead. Like I remember him killing solo the Kaisa, him killing solo the Jace as well. So if he's able to find these opportunities to look for the Bane, potentially for the Vex as well, that would work out so amazingly for Acclivity. Because even though I say that they have great engage potential with the Udyr, the Pantheon, the Vex, and even the Blitzcrank to a certain degree, Bane doesn't quite go that fast towards that side. Like she can play teamfights like that aggressively, but she still needs to have some time to get to a spot where she can freely hit without being collapsed on, which means that there's a window of opportunity for Graves to try and kill the Vayne. And if he can take the advantage out of that window of opportunity, then BBU loses quite substantially a lot of damage. Because even though Udyr and Pantheon can deal to a certain degree damage, it's quite a lot on the Bane and the Vex. And if one is out, you're missing on quite a bit of damage as well.
Right. I think in a lot of fights, it's going to be the Vex heading toward the back line of Acclivity
Yeah.
and the LeBlanc heading toward the back line of VBU. It's going to be who's going to be able to kill the 80 carry faster. Is it going to be Vex killing Jin or LeBlanc killing Vayne? I mean, Jin, as we know, very immobile. Vayne has a little bit more mobility to her, so it could be a little bit harder for this LeBlanc to close out on kills. And really, the LeBlanc effect is something that I always think about, and how LeBlanc, when you play normals and solo queue and stuff, is quite effective. But LeBlanc, when you
Yeah.
play 5v5, is a little bit harder to pilot because usually the other team is able to provide more information and communicate better. So, we could see a scenario where Tiny Asian Boy is calling out like the LeBlanc in a certain area, and VBU Infusion kind of plays a little bit of a get down, Mr. President type deal, where they just really protect the Vayne from this LeBlanc, and it will
Uh,
reduce the LeBlanc's effectiveness.
yeah, I feel like the LeBlanc, like you're pointing out, is a little bit harder of a champion to pull off in the 5v5s with, like you're pointing out, information and everything being around much more easily. And that's why I feel like it takes an actually really, really skillful LeBlanc to play LeBlanc well enough, right? Like mediocre LeBlancs will just get exposed, will get punished so effectively, and it's going to be much harder for them. So it's important to see how well Bondi can perform and how well can the team allow for Bondi to do as much as possible in this LeBlanc. Because if not, then LeBlanc will just be a champion that is there, not doing quite much. Also, quick thing. Well, no, actually, we can see this when we get into the game.
Yeah. I was about to say I'm waiting for it to actually happen. Um, there might be an interesting selection of a champion in a
Yep,
certain role. It looks like this is going to be a Vayne mid
it is.
and a
I think it
Vex
is.
Blitzcrank bot lane.
It may be maybe, or it may be
I
Knights
didn't.
of playing in the bot lane. Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, I certainly didn't have this on the bingo card,
Yeah.
but it looks like that's it. So Nightsaw will be
Okay.
piloting this Vayne, Tiny Asian Boy will be piloting this Vex, and our producer will be piloting us to a break as we are waiting for the spectator delay. But do not go anywhere as VBU Infusion tries to even up the series. But Acclivity, they're looking to get their first match win of the season. right, everybody. We are back. We are here for game 2 between Acclivity Esports and VBU Infusion. And it was a great first game out of Acclivity. Not too much more that you can say. And Acclivity now on the blue
Oh,
side looking to get a win. Flash from Signify to try to hook Bondi. But I'm not sure if they know, but LeBlanc's normally open with W.
yeah, like I would 100% be okay with that if it's anyone but LeBlanc and maybe Grace. But LeBlanc 100% no. That's the champion that will screw you over so easily. And Sigabai essentially blew his flash for nothing. Now maybe it's a bait. Maybe he wanted to have the hex flash because it's much better. Maybe, who knows? But
Can
first
use it
hook
more often,
bait.
I guess.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the idea behind it.
Oh, doesn't seem that great. Listen, if I'm not seeing high level Blitzcranks do it, I don't know, man. It seems dubious at best.
You know that most of the obscure tech or new tech comes from lower elo players. So maybe this is the new obscure tech out of Blitzcrank. Maybe.
Maybe, but Signify is lurking in the chat, so can't talk too much about it. But after the early events, it seems like it's going to be the same thing for the junglers, both starting on the top side. Obviously, just the size of the rift are reversed for them as opposed to the way they were last game. And really, this is a game where Knight saw this is a put up or shut up game for them.
Yep.
This is the ace of VBU, and they need to come up huge here. They need to start playing like it, and
Yep.
they certainly didn't last game. Opting into another 80 carry mid and getting the better of a trade with Bondi here early on.
Yeah, an 80 carry mid, but he will actually be 80. So he's actually going to be performing the heavy carry duty. And important because we were laughing about this pre-game, but it's going to be the Bane in the mid lane, the Vex in the bot lane, and apart from the fact that I think Bane is not that bad against the LeBlanc, actually I think that she can take the better traits just because you have so much mobility, and LeBlanc needs a lot to be able to pull up her combo, so it's not going to be that bad. The bot lane is something that I'm not sure about. Oh,
Uh-oh, Marios is
Marios.
in a lot of trouble.
Ignite is
So
down.
is Assyrian. Marios is the first to hit level 3, and as you said, Ignite burnt.
Ooh.
Assyrian just playing on a knife's edge right now. You do not want to die to a stray spear. It looks like they're going to try to back, but Marios is trying to sniff this one out, is now in the minion wave. Are they going to do any more? Trying to chase down Assyrian, but just eating cleavers. That being said, Assyrian losing a wave at the turret.
Yeah, this is much more important than what the Panther was doing. Oh, another poke.
There's plenty of poke going on here. We do see it looks like the jungler is going to fight over the Scuttle Crab. Snoop Donk, though, a level up. They're going to try to engage onto Obito, but the smite is
got it.
going to go the way of the grave. Snoop Donk has to try to cut it out. Bondi is here as well as trading flashes. Snoop
Oh, the
Donk, the
fear?
tether, but the root is down onto the Vex, and that is going to be first blood over to Obito Uchiha.
Obito.
Have a day for yourself, Obito.
Yeah, he's performing on the day that matters. Really nice play by Obito. Just to confirm quickly. Oh yeah, he did got the Scuttle Crab. I thought it was actually the Snoop Dogg that got it, but important that he gets the Scuttle Crab and then the continuation into the play against the Udyr was really nice. Everyone being able to respond fast enough. And I really like the attention that the team was giving to that play because with the push, you're able to obviously respond much quickly. But it also showed something that we talked a little bit about with Lux and the Jin. You get so much big potential with those two champions, and you have enough burst damage with the LeBlanc and the Graves to be able to kill a target like the Vex that even though it's not that squishy, she is still someone that you can kill quite effectively.
Graves also taking the top Scuttle Crab as well, and right now Obito Uchiha holds all the cards. It looks like they're trying to make a play up in the top lane. Marios could be quite in a bit of trouble here. Flash from Assyrian, and now Obito Uchiha just waiting to get a last auto attack off. Nope, the cleaver is going to go down. That one's going to go over to the Mundo, but once again, the jungler from Acclivity having so much impact early on.
Yeah, and in comparison to the previous game where we saw Snoop Dogg trying to get as much farm from the enemy as possible when this plays happen, Obito actually is running the game in terms of that. He's being able to keep up the pace with his farm and then pull off his weight as well with the ganks. Great game timing, by the way, because it was the wave once again pushed. Yes, the Pantheon may get a stun down and he may have flash, but I also want to say great flash Q by animation, because hitting that slow actually meant that securing the kill was going to be much more easy.
Yeah, I am a Syrian after a bit of a rough start, as brought it back a little bit, and that was a clutch cleaver to get that slow down, as you had stated. And right now, both junglers on the bottom side of the map, so we could see some more fireworks over this dragon. It is the Mountain Drake, and if you are the side of VBU, you would be quite happy with that, as
Yep.
your squishy Vayne would definitely love to have a little bit more tankiness to try to survive against this LeBlanc.
Yeah, and from BBU, the previous game, we saw how impactful getting those early Drakes turned out to be for the side of Acclivity. So I feel like this, trying to fight around, oh, double ultimate was used.
Yeah, and Snoop Dogg is here. Marios is trying to make a play as well. This could be disastrous as the top laners sojourned their way down. Nightsaw hitting level
Bounty, bye
6.
bye.
Here comes the Ghost. They layered the CC so well, and Bondi will burn the flash but will fall anyway. Nightsaw is going to pick up their first kill of the game. And trading flashes is going to have to flash. Are they going to be able to trade a flash? Doesn't look like it. Signify a little too fast, and all right, that's one way for VBU to get one back. They certainly have some life here.
Yeah, really nicely played. A lot of time was wasted, I feel, a little bit by the Udyr, but great roam timing by Marius, and securing that kill onto the Vayne is so crucial. I do gotta say, I don't know why Bondi was so committed to that play. Oh, nice poke, but not. I
And
don't
see,
think
I
going to
mean,
do much.
look at. I mean, you can see why there. Look at all the damage they did tonight. So I would definitely commit for that play if I knew I could kill the opposing AD carry, and it's only going to get harder as the game goes on.
Yeah.
So
She's
give him
much
credit
more
for trying.
one-shottable.
Yeah, I just don't think they were expecting the Pantheon to come down. But, well, with Udyr on a reset and heading to the top lane, it looks like this dragon is going to go the way of Acclivity.
Yeah, once again, we see in the second game, once again, great timing to secure that dragon. Asian. That is a lot of damage that you're taking.
Yeah. Assyrian is going to burn the ultimate. Marios does have the Unite, but will not elect to use it here. No further engagement as Obito trying to come around from the side and looking to make Nightsaw's life pretty hellish. That being said, Udyr trying to do the same. He's actually... Nope, it's the Snoop Dogg special. He's going to try to go and get some jungle creeps from the opposing jungler. Nightsaw has no idea that this play is coming. Here comes the Graves. Nightsaw can't see anything. Can't even see why kids love the great taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's going to be a second kill for the Graves.
Yeah, getting that kill down during the turret, not much was necessarily used to get that kill in the mid lane, and a flash was blown by Naito. Great play by Obito, and we may get another fight here potentially. No ultimate for Obito though. Oh,
Well,
okay, he's just getting his jungle stolen.
He's not going to catch Snoop Dogg. He finally spots him out. Oh, he's starting to back here. Wait a minute. Snoop Dogg, does he want the fight? Assyrian is here. This is not what you wanted. Snoop Dogg had a free opportunity to try to find a way out and is now being slowed up. Pantheon, though, does land over the wall. Assyrian has been ignited, does not have the ultimate, and will fall. Mario's getting very low, and looks like they're going to die as well. No, never mind. The Signify on the roam up had landed the hook, and the Graves is blown up. And now VBU finally with a counterpunch here.
Yeah, and getting the lead as well thanks to that play. I really don't know what Signify was doing there. I'm not even sure in which timing did he find to come here. But great timing. It works out marbles for them. They get 2 kills out of that play, and they also steal quite a lot of the camps out of the grave. So doing something that we saw in the previous game, working out really nice for them. But they are losing a lot in this bot lane as well because of that play.
Well, it is only one plate, but the CS differential is pretty large. Missing Link getting a lot of breathing room here, up about 25 CS, we'll call it, onto this Vex. The pings are going down. They want the Scuttle Crab, but Nightsaw is going to be the first to move. And Snoop Dogg is there as well. Doesn't look like they can go for it.
It is far, yeah.
Uh-oh. Signify's got Flash available to make a play. Root goes down. The Luxol as well. And now here comes the curtain call, looking to try to find it onto Snoop Dogg, but well protected by the rest of the team. That is going to be a kill. This one going over to, I believe Tiny Asian Boy will finally get a piece of the action here.
Yeah, I feel like I think he was the one that got it, but I'm so surprised that Udyr survived that burst. I'm not sure how that happened, but that is not something that it's going to become easier, even if he opts into tankiness, because now you need to take into account the potential burst as well from the LeBlanc, right? So it's going to be a little bit much more riskier.
Blitzcrank so far making moves happen in these last two fights, making their presence known certainly is Signify, and Acclivity is going to have to be careful for the remainder of this game. They do not want to fall too far behind to the Blitzcrank menace.
Yeah, they need to be careful about how they opt into. And this is something that we talked about, how potentially if you have the vision control from the side of BBU, then playing the Blitzcrank is going to become much more easy, or it's going to be much easier. But from the side of Acclivity, they cannot allow that to happen. You cannot allow for this Blitzcrank to have an easy time, because then you essentially lose any kind of control, and almost any champion can get bursted out, apart from maybe the Mundo.
It looks like everybody has moved up to this Rift Herald, so it is open season for Missing Link and Trading Flashes in the bottom lane. Bondi trying to make moves there, will be able to distortion out, but the Rift Herald is going to go over to the side of VBU. They had the last one, used it to some pretty good effect.
Yep.
Weren't able to get too much more. It's another plate in the bot lane for Missing Link and Trading Flashes.
Yeah, now trying to respond. Oh, flashing.
Uh-oh, big flash from Signify.
Way
This
too
could be
late.
bad news. There's that Lux ultimate dealing quite a bit of damage. Up here in the top lane, Snoop Dogg trying to find the Assyrian, but Mundo able to just walk it out. Now Nightsaw's in a compromising position. The Ghost is out, and that will be that. Collateral damage will land. A third kill for Obito. We've been calling their name all night. Here comes the dive. The Ignite has been burnt. Assyrian trying to kite this one out, but just too much damage. Marios gets credit for the kill, and now the curtain call here in the bot lane. Fourth shot landing. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage to Signify. However, here's a dive attempt. They're trying to find the engagement, and it will
nice
be
binding.
the Blitzcrank going down. Bondi getting credit for that one, and now Missing Link is going to pick up the other kill. A 2-for-0. The bot side, a well-executed dive by Acclivity. This is a different team.
Yeah, it's looking much more crisp in their decision making, much better with what kind of plays they want to do, and pulling off something that I commented on this as well in the first game. You may be losing one side or losing something in one side, but it's really important to be able to answer kindly in the other side. If you're getting dolphed on top lane, if you can respond correctly with a dive on bot lane, and apart from that dive, you get the dragon as well, you're doing quite well in responding to the enemy's advantages. Like, yes, you may have lost quite a lot of gold, but you're still putting yourself in a spot where you can still fight the game, which I think it's still so important for Acclivity. And the bot lane turret is still up with plates, so try and just get them. So it's not that bad to just give away a little bit of gold in this spot in the game.
And it was split between Snoop Dogg and Marios. So Marios, who's pretty strong so far, isn't going to get the full slate of 600 gold,
Yeah.
but I'm sure they're going to be happy with what they got regardless.
Oh, chains.
Nightsaw in a lot of trouble. A great condemn there will be able to make sure they do not get snared up. But a flashless Vayne is a Vayne that is in danger constantly. And you can tell they've just been harassed all game long. Bondi CS has been top notch so far. And this Vayne mid pick has not had the impact that they want. That said, Snoop Dogg has had some sort of impact with 5 assists, and they're looking to close out on their first kill here. The Syrians are going to have to try to run away. Big knock up into pull in the mid lane here. Bondi very low, and Bondi the one to fall. However, Obito turns the fight up in the top lane. They're trying to chase down this Udyr. Collateral damage does land, but it does not kill. And it looks like Snoop Dogg will find a way to get away. Now, here we go. Marios is here. So is Tiny Asian Boy. Missing Link trying to get away, but is unable to, and they will die. And just like that, VBU, they are punching back, punching hard. I saw once again low. Obito just needs one more auto attack and will get it. The 4th kill on the Graves. But here in the bottom lane, it's Marios, Tiny Asian Boy, and Signify looking to siege.
Yeah, they are potentially going to get this turret. I think that there shouldn't be much contact. Ooh, it looks.
That's a big root. Mario's in a
a
little
lot
bit
of
of trouble,
damage.
although Signify coming from the side. Trading Flashes
Flashes.
is out of mana. Has nowhere to go, but now Bondi has joined the
Bondi's
party
here.
and is looking to come in and try to get a kill here. Big root by Trading Flashes, but Bondi doesn't have the damage, nor do they have the cooldowns. Marios helps turn the fight there. It's a double kill for this Titanic top laner. 6-1 and 2.
Yeah, and the idea is fine there. The problem is that you as Bondi can never in your life, like, you cannot dream about it. You cannot force that play like that because there's so much to see. Like, that's one of the weaknesses of LeBlanc.
Oh, look at the balance of the turret
I
aggro.
swear, turrets are
Picture
useless.
perfect. I can see why Pantheon got banned in the last game
Yeah.
because Marios is running this game.
Yeah, it's just a side note, turrets are the most useless thing that exists in this game, and I really hope that something changes with them because though I'd rather have a ward than a turret. That they are super useless. Still, that was such a nice dive once again, playing around the balancing of the turret shots, killing the Jin, and this is a really important moment for the side of BBU because the lead was really small. I think it was close to 1,000 gold in the before those kills happened, but because the play on top side doesn't work out, you then collapse on bot lane and get I think 3 or 4 kills because you killed the Jin twice. That was so much of a gold influx going into their pockets and no real answer from Acclivity, netting them a nice spot in this game already. The Dragon is going to be an important objective to fight around, but with the lead that the Pantheon has, I feel like that fight is not something that you want to take as Acclivity.
Yeah, and if Marios manages to come in from the side, it could be disastrous. But if it's a straight up 5v5 fight, it does look like Acclivity has tools to be able to stop the Pantheon's march forward. You know, the Lux Snare, the Jin Root, even LeBlanc's Tether. Seems like
They
it
need to
could be
burst out
enough
though.
to prevent Pantheon from getting in, but the vision control firmly for the side of VBU right now. Acclivity has to do something to try to get some of that control back. You would really like to put yourselves on Soul Point.
Yeah, putting yourself in soul point means that even though you're not getting the soul soon enough, like you can give away a couple of dragons and it's not going to be detrimental for you. So I feel like that's something that Acclivity should 100% look into. And if they can get it without giving away a much more important lead, then that's great. Also important to notice, the Bane doesn't have teleport and it's on the silence. So
Mm-hmm.
if she doesn't come soon enough, that may just turn into a 4v5.
Well, there
Oh,
is a
Vito.
problem in that
Oh, the hook. Yeah, bye-bye.
LeBlanc wasn't there as well, and Obito gets picked off. That is massive for VBU right now. It looks like they might be able to secure this dragon.
Yeah, and that's the kind of play that you will get punished for when you don't have a flash. You cannot commit like that. And Oviedo, you're. Oh, wait. How do
Uh-oh,
you think you.
Bondi, a little
Oh,
bit of trouble, doing a little bit of a
no ulti.
brushy move here, but now here comes Tiny Asian Boy looking to get the reset. They're going to find a kill. They've got the reset. Are they going to engage onto trading flashes? They're thinking about it. They're thinking
Oh,
about it. Here they
they thought
go.
about it, yeah.
Flash burnt by the Lux. Mario's unable to get any closer to land a stun. There's a big cooldown, though, for the support of Acclivity. It looks like this Drake will be taken by
Graves is
VBU.
up, though.
Yeah, Graves is up, and Vayne is still providing a lot of pressure in the top lane.
Oh,
Split
Marius.
pushing, getting a lot of those resources, trading. Flash is very low, and just the damage that comes out of Marios is just far too
Oh,
much.
Vito.
And now Obito has to try to quick draw away. He is desperately running for his life, trying to sit behind
Use
the
a smite.
Krugs, doing
Oh,
a
he
pretty
doesn't
good
have
job
it.
of mitigating things, but did not have the smite to be able to gain any HP. Another kill for Marios, put him in double digits. Now Nightsaw banging on this turret. Bondi
Marius.
trying to find a kill. The turret will
Oh,
go down. Nightsaw's life for the cause. They are going to die to the minions here. Bondi will be able to finish off the Q with the Q. You're fine with that, though. It looks like it is starting to tilt the way of VBU as they've secured their first Drake of the game.
yeah, they need to find a way to fight. First of all, fight without getting caught out of position because you cannot put yourself into a stupid position without actually dying against a Blitzcrank. It's something that we talked about. Blitzcrank will grab you and will kill. So you need to be careful about how you opt into those fights. And apart from that, they need to think about a way to try and kill Marius because he's doing so much damage already. He has so much survivability thanks to the fact that he has his shield, and he already has 2 items, so he's denying a lot of the damage from the team. He's able to kill the Mundo, which realistically should not be a thing that can happen, especially with how Mundo should function. And then you're getting your damage denied because he has so much armor. This is going to be such a tough task out of the side of Acclivity to be able to win fights from now on.
Double-digit kills from this Pantheon. 10 of his team's 14. A put the team on my back performance if I've ever seen one.
Yep.
Trying to make sure his team finishes in top 4 to be able to make playoffs. And now Snoop Donk here. The engagement onto Obito. Obito is going to have to try to dash away from this
Like
Night
it's
Sauce
here.
and Hopper Soup. But here is Bondi. And not too many places for Snoop Donk to go, but will be able to find a way out through the Tri-Brush and Whence they came.
Surprised that the LeBlanc didn't commit there because with the amount of damage that they deal to Snoop Dogg, I could have seen a kill potential there. Still, respect there. Oh, hook.
Uh-oh. Another
Bye
hook
bye,
lands.
trading
Trading
flashes.
flashes is just
Yep,
evaporated.
just
He'll
as
be
easy.
damned. That is a third kill for Tiny Asian Boy. And this Vex Blitzcrank bot lane has... They've done okay for themselves.
Yeah, apart from the laning phase wasn't that great, obviously, but since laning phase is not the 100% of the game, it's easily punishable later on. And against champions like the Lukes, like the Jin that can get bursted out. Oh wait, Marius, it's getting collapsed.
This could be a huge shutdown here.
Oh,
Mario's
ulti.
channeling his ultimate, and he's gonna get out. Oh, that has to feel so bad if you are Acclivity.
Oh,
And now
bye bye,
Missing
Missing Link.
Link is getting knocked up. He's burned his Gale Force. He has been silenced, but there's no follow-up from Tiny Asian Boy. It
Yeah.
is just a missed opportunity there for Acclivity Esports. You
And
really
that
wanted to get that shutdown.
Yeah, that's why words are so important because you can stop something like that from happening without getting punished. Like with Vision, Pantheon potentially dies before that happens. So great play by the Pantheon, but not a really nice capitalization by Acclivity in this time. Can they get this turret at least?
Yep,
Okay, yeah.
okay. Getting some gold back is Acclivity, and, if you're ever going to try to come back in a game, it starts with doing the little things right. It's a good
Exactly.
job of using the Jin ultimate to allow them to get that mid turret.
Yeah, it's important that they collect as much gold as possible. We still don't have the what is called the bounties up in the map, which means that you need to collect the small bits of gold that you get. And the fact that they are able to get that mid lane turret also opens up potential to try and look into the enemy jungle, try and get yourself a little bit of vision control, so that then it's going to be easier for you to not fall prey of the Blitzcrank, of the Pantheon, of the Mundo, and even the Vex, because their ultimate does have quite a bit of range.
Yeah, some sort of protection is needed here. I mean, it's rare to see an Edge of Night come out, but maybe that would have to be the move for Missing
Wouldn't be
Link.
against it.
The problem is if Bondi goes for a Banshee's Veil, they're not going to have a lot of damage. I saw that in LCK or LPL the other night. It looks like that's not their option, so that's
Yeah.
okay. And Acclivity, they're starting to move toward the dragon. They want to secure some dragon control. Are they going to be able to find a kill onto Snoop Dogg? No. Just too
He's
fast
faster.
outrunning the snares.
Yeah, he's quite fast enough to just be able to run away. They did deal quite a bit of damage, so at least something maybe to look forward to. The dragon coming up in 1 minute means that they don't need to commit or force anything out just yet. But losing the control over the river is going to be important because what Pantheon is doing is quite important actually. He has the ultimate, so he can fall into a fight if something ever happens. But if not, he has control over the river, and a pick can happen out of nowhere. Oh, trading flashes.
Oh,
There it
here
is.
comes Pantheon. See you later, Alligator Lux. Just disappeared. I mean, that is just very disheartening to watch your support just
Oh, the
die.
flash in.
And now Mario's flashing forward, missing Link, Gale forcing, but it doesn't matter. And now
Unnecessary.
Obino has been hooked. Just out of nowhere, 3 picks for the side of
And
VBU.
Baron.
They're gonna take the mid outer turret, and they are pinging the Baron, baby. It's time.
Yeah, and this looks like it's going to be game, if I'm honest. Like, I still, you have to still account for potential mistakes, human mistakes that can happen, but this Pantheon seems unstoppable. There's nothing that they have right now that can stop this Pantheon, and even later on, I'm not sure if something will fall into position, because there's still 4 squishy champions that if Pantheon falls on top of them, they are dead, 100% dead. So, I'm not sure what they can do. Oh,
Oh,
Teenage Boy?
okay. Lots of damage. Bondi trying to dip, duck, dive, and dodge
They will
their
not be
way out of
distracted.
danger. This flash is
Oh,
going to go on to
no.
Tiny Asian Boy, but the rest of VBU is there. Thanks for
Bondi.
the leash, buddy. We're going to take a second dragon, and you can see the objective of the bounties available soon. Things just going from bad to worse for Acclivity here. They were in it early on, but it looks like they finally ran out of gas in here in Game 2.
Yeah, I think importantly, the kills that they gave away without actually getting answered in the top lane really matter. The Pantheon went just so strong without getting controlled, and there is now a really small chance to be able to pull this off. There's a chance that it can happen, but it's really slim, and I'm not sure if Acclivity will be able to pull it off. Like even though they have been playing really nicely these 2 games, it's still the bottom place team. So it may be a little bit too much of a tough task to ask of them, and instead BBU performing like we expected, playing much better, much more like we have seen previously, and utilizing this Pantheon as effectively as possible.
Yep, that's what happens when Marios is going to get their ace champion, and it looks like Acclivity, they will have an extra game to go back to the drawing board though, so that is a-okay. They're probably not too broken up about it, but they would have liked to take this one potentially. And I mean, it's not over yet. Like you said, it's a 7K gold differences. The hook does not land, and it's really going to be about death balling for these guys. They're going to have to move as a unit if they want to have a shot in this game.
Yeah, mistakes can still happen. Like if Marius gets collapsed alone and he gets in front of the Graves, the Jean, and the LeBlanc, like there's a chance that he dies. But if there's a lot more members from the side of BBU still on the side, then it's going to be much harder to pull off.
Well, the root
Nice
is
damage
down
though.
onto the Pantheon, but not able to follow up with any damage here. And you know, the story of the game, they have not been able to kill the Pantheon. They got to him
Yeah,
once.
they're being close. Yeah, it's being close to be able to pull it off, but they sadly cannot have not been able to pull it off. Oh, Lighto.
Oh, Snoop Dogg eating that one, making sure to keep their
Oh,
buddy
keeping it.
alive. Here comes Marios. It's a 2v4 right now. He's trying to get into the thick of things. The Syrian is going to lose their CC immunity, but that is about it. The siege beginning on that top lane inhibitor. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, it's Blitzcrank and Vex trying to bang down these turrets. They're trying to poke out Marios as much as they can, but it's not really working right now. Syrian walking up, trying to land some of these cleavers. Obito afraid to get close for
The
fear of the
fight.
hook. Trading
Okay.
flashes has been found, was knocked up in Zonia's. Not sure how that one happens, but it doesn't matter because they are just dead. Marios is going to be able to find a double kill. Are they looking for more? There's a big move there by
Yeah,
Bondi
not
trying to
good.
get some kills. On a killing spree is Tiny Asian Boy. The missing link, the final link that falls in the chain. A triple kill for Marios. Give him 15 on the game. That is an ace. They're banging down this top lane inhibitor, and the Nexus turrets are in their sights.
Yeah, and doing the semi-scummy thing of spamming the mastery rank, like it's fine. You get your champion, you get your kills. Really nice game. Still, really nice to play by the side of BB overall, not just Marius. I feel like when the time came, we saw the power from the Blitzcrank, from the Vex, the value out of the Pantheon as well. And, ooh, okay, not
He
a kill.
still
Yeah,
doesn't die. Give him
yeah, not
16.
enough.
Oh,
Not
extra
enough
one for
kills,
good
sadly.
measure. A little bit of a cherry on top there. And that is exactly what the doctor ordered for VBU, as they do manage to take game two.
Yeah, and that is exactly why I'm pretty sure we're going to see that ban in first rotation in the next
Have
game.
to.
Yeah, it just feels like I really don't understand the Kai'Sa ban because even though it was dangerous, I feel like the side of Acclivity played so well around it. And when you have the Grace that can burst out the Kai'Sa so easily, it wasn't that needed to get a ban. Instead, there was potentially better things. The Pantheon, obviously, you wouldn't have expected it to come so early on, but I feel like this time around you have to throw away the Kai'Sa ban and put in the Pantheon ban.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious what you have to do.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't really say too much more about that. He got the Pantheon, he won the game. You know what? It just seems like simple math to me. You ban
Yeah.
the Pantheon, you can't win the game, right?
Well, maybe. That's still a maybe.
Of course, of course. And we will see how many maybes are made there in the draft. Let me tell you, Acclivity, they gave it a good shot. This team certainly got a little bit of a shot in the arm with Bondi in the mid lane. Do you think they're going to be able to dig deep and win game three?
I'm not sure. Like I feel like this was a better game out of PBU overall with better decision making, but I think Knights is still not performing up to par. Like I feel like we have expected a little bit more out of Naito, and in this game and in the last game, he was actually quite controlled, in my opinion. So I'm kind of a skeptical of saying that BBU can pull it off. I actually am going to go for it, and I think Acclivity will take the win at the end.
Well, we will have to see. Bondi has just had Nightsal's number. Nightsal gonna have to try to put things together because let me tell you, Marios, if they're not gonna get that Pantheon again, Nightsal has to perform in this
Yep.
game. It was very crazy. It was honestly borderline crazy to see the swap go out in a game of this magnitude for them. But
Yep.
credit to Tiny Asian Boy doing a pretty good job as a secondary carry. Signify on that Blitzcrank. The Blitzcrank hooks just all game long were just so strong.
Yeah, really a great performance. And we talked about how the Blitzcrank was going to be a wild card, not because it's a bad champion, but because you do have to play really well around it and the picks. Like if you have great CC around him, which the side of BBU had, then it works out marvelous. And they also had a lot of damage thanks to the Pantheon being so far ahead. So it works out really well, and I think that it shows that they are not uncomfortable playing around the Blitzcrank if they had to. Also, sacking botlane relatively because they lose botlane quite heavily, but it didn't matter when the game was open, when the turrets were destroyed, they were able to move into the mid lane, provide much more support for the rest of the map, and it became a much easier game to play after that point for the bot lane.
We will have to see what kind of draft adaptations are made. We are going to cut it into a short break while we prepare ourselves to get into the pro draft for the final game between Team Acclivity and VBU Infusion. We're here for it. This draft could tell so much about how the rest of these seasons for these two teams are going to go. VBU and Fusion, they're going to be on the blue side, and Acclivity is going to be on the red side. I am Yanni. I'm still here with TDS, as we have been for this entire 3-game series. It's been a rarity. There isn't too many of them, but we are getting the opportunity to cast one here. And the bans are looking pretty similar so far, but some thinking being done about these final bans. It looks like VBU is once again going to take out the Seraphine, and Acclivity, to nobody's surprise, is going to get the Pantheon.
Yeah, it was pretty much obvious that it was going to happen. This was something that was really strong in the previous game, and it didn't seem like Acclivity had a right answer. So banning it away is the right choice. I like much more leaving up Kaisa because yes, she's strong, but if you have played against her, there's better ways to counter her than a Pantheon that it's much more weird to see normally. So I like much more this kind of ban. Now, Acclivity, what do they opt into? They could go once again for the Graves. Wouldn't be against that if I'm honest. I think that Obito has played quite well, and there it is.
Yep.
And then I feel like you need to opt here into either a support or an AD carry. And if I'm honest, I feel like you can opt here potentially for Jinx. I would like the Jinx, or Caitlyn once again, because I think Caitlyn was a really nice champion to have in the first.
Yeah, it seems like it was what's working for Acclivity, and VBU going back to what's not working, and that is a ranged AD carry. Obviously, Kaisa, you're going to build her AP in the mid lane, and Nightsaw with the salty run back is going to have to try and you know brush up a little bit and try to fix up the little mechanical errors they may have had. But as
Yeah,
you said, what you thought would be a strong pick, it's going to be the Jinx.
I'm always a fan of the Jinx. I think that she's such a great AD carry to have, and it's simply surprising to see. Also, Kaisa may still be a flex here, so I wouldn't be surprised if they don't go for anything yet. Soraka getting picked here. I'm not sure if this Kaisa bot. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of Soraka Kaisa, but I think Soraka is an undervalued support. She heals so much. She can have good pressure as in certain matchups, and the later the game goes on, the easier it is for her to just have so much carry potential. The Udyr, once again, like I feel like this jungle matchup, even though we haven't seen anything new from the whole series, it's fine because I think that that's a matchup that either side can win and should provide enough power for either jungler to be able to do something with the champion.
The second health bar has been selected, and the walking ambulance, along with this Udyr. Once again, the same jungle matchup that we've seen in the first two games. Neither of them have
Ooh.
been able to break serve yet. One of them will definitely end up breaking serve. And it's going to be paired, this Jinx is going to be paired with a Janna. That's a pretty interesting choice. Haven't seen the Janna come out yet, so at least we know our supports are set. And providing good protection for the Jinx against the Udyr is key.
Yeah,
Well, we will have to see what bands are going to come through here, and it's coming to think about the Janna. It's no Morgana shielding like they had in the first game for Caitlyn Graves, but it's good enough, and it provides some AD for you. So Graves and Jinx will certainly be happy to get that. Caitlyn
you
was
also
the
get
first
healing.
ban from Acclivity. The second ban was for I'm sorry, the first ban of the second phase for VBU is the Ornn.
Staying true with the Ornn, we haven't seen anything apart from a ban against the
Yeah,
Ornn in the whole series, so it was bound to happen. Now, I'm not sure what Acclivity does opting to banning here because we kind of know the support and the jungler. Maybe an AD carry here. Jay is banned away, and it had quite a huge impact in the first game. So I'm not against the James ban here, especially because with the Kai'Sa, you are kind of scared about that poke potential. I would like to have Acclivity opt into either Sion or something safe like that in the top lane here. Or Camille, I think, even wouldn't be that bad of a choice to kind of threaten the backline as well. Because I think that their composition already has enough to provide for the backline with the Janna and even the Graves to a certain degree. You don't need to have that much choices there. But opting into the Corki instead.
Corki has waned in popularity quite a bit, but still serves to be a fairly strong champion. As you were touching on potentially picking a Scion for the top lane, nah, man. Listen, Marios performed pretty well on Jace the first game, even though it didn't work out. Performed very well in the second game on their signature Pantheon. Put this man's on a carry right now.
True.
They're going to need it because I don't think this team composition so far has enough damage to be able to deal with what Acclivity can pump out.
Yeah, that is a good assumption. The only kind of risk that I see, okay, is it a Soraka mid instead?
Hold on. What? What is going? Is this
I
Soraka
told you
top
there
lane?
was a
It
flex
might be a
chat.
Soraka top lane. Let me take a look at the archives real quick. Marios did play Soraka top lane one time so far this season, so it might be a Soraka top lane and a Brand Blitzcrank bot lane. VBU with a very interesting composition here. It seems like it's leaned a little heavily toward magic damage though.
Yeah. Well, we did saw something similar in the previous game where they flexed the Bane and the what's it called the Vex in the
Mm-hmm.
between bot lane and mid lane. So maybe we see something potentially similar instead of Brand Blitzcrank bot lane. We see the Kai'Sa Blitzcrank bot lane to maybe threaten that Janna and Jinx, which I
Yeah,
wouldn't be
could be.
against. Like Blitzcrank is one of those supports that do have enough CC to provide for Kai'Sa's passive, which then allows you to burst certain champions. I wouldn't be against that. Now, I would like to see the Blitzcrank brand just because it seems like it's going to be fun if it does happen. And like you're saying, I think it's going to be Soraka top, or pretty much it feels like it's the only thing left here, especially with the champions picked. So Soraka top seems to be the choice. And Renekton as an answer, I'm actually not sure if I'm a huge fan of the Renekton answer here, because if he doesn't kill the Soraka early on, which he does, he is able to do it. But if he doesn't get an opportunity to get a kill early on onto the Soraka and put pressure on her, he will fall off quite heavily in comparison to that of the Soraka. And if you can get picks easily against this Renekton, you're essentially playing a 4v5.
I have to be honest with you, I thought the same exact thing. I saw the Renekton pick and I'm like, with all these champions on VBU's side and whoever could go in the top lane, and your answer is Renekton? It doesn't sit right with me. But you know what? It is the champion that I picked.
True.
Assyrian has determined that, yep, this is what we're doing. We're going for it. And I, I just feel like it might get abused up in the top lane a little bit. And you don't want to make life easy on Soraka up there, especially, since it's a champion that's sort of out there a little bit. And when somebody is going to make a play like that and try to go real off ball, off meta type deal, you really want to be able to punish them for it. And while Renekton does have the damage, I'm not sure if Renekton is going to be able to punish a Soraka.
Yeah, like the riskiness here, or the risk here, is the fact that if you as a Renekton don't get a lead, your body really falls off heavily. And it's kind of comparable to, well, no, to Renekton, because Renekton is this kind of champion. I feel like I would have loved to see much more, because we talked about is Camille would have been a little bit better. She doesn't fall off quite heavily, and against a squishy like Azuraka, her true damage would have been so great. Then you have potentially Akali as well, Gwen as well, champions that can punish the Soraka really well. I feel like there's a lot of variety of champions, and pigeonholing yourself into Renekton in this last game, maybe it's a comfort thing, right? Like maybe
Yeah.
you as Acclivity feel like with the Renekton, you can perform to a good enough level, which you couldn't with another champion. And we saw in the previous game that the Mundo didn't really found the same success as the Gragas, so maybe Renekton is a better way to allow for I am a Shirian to try and make the most in this game.
The team compositions are set. The players, they need to be ready. They're going to game
Yep.
3. VBU needs this win to be able to keep a spot up in the top 4. I thought that this team was a top 3 team. I actually had them pegged for 3rd, but you know what? After this performance tonight, I'm not sure how I feel about them moving forward. Acclivity looking to clinch their first match win of the season and potentially give themselves a lifeline into playoffs. Drama guaranteed. Casters going to be back after this short break for the champion select weight. this is it. This is the final game of this 3-game series. I'm sure we are all so glad that you all elected to spend your Monday night with us here at the Blue Otter League. It's Yanni and TDS on the cast. And it looks like Signify is trying to get chippy with this Blitzcrank, but they've been pinged out. They might try to get the jump on them, but remember what happened last time a team tried to do that? They died.
True, but what if this time it works out?
Oh, Jano
Okay,
Tornado
Peter.
goes wide right, but Marios could be in a little bit of trouble. Did manage to land a Q on multiple members, and we'll be able to just walk it out. So, no issues, no fighting, no nothing. This game means so much for either of these teams. VBU currently deadlocked at 2-2, and judging by their performance today, they're going to need every win the rest of the way. I
Yep.
do not think they're as good as I thought they were. They need to prove me wrong. For Acclivity, they want to win their first match of the season. Nobody wants to go 0-7. If you win this match, you still got a shot at playoffs. Make it happen.
Yeah, you don't want to give up before trying everything out, and I feel like this is what Acclivity is trying to pull off. They are trying to play the game as standard as possible, also even pulling off maybe a much more comfort pick in the top lane, and I hope that they are able to execute. On the side of BBU, they need if we are looking at a potential playoffs team that we are looking to try and do something more so than just reaching playoffs, then they need to step up quite a bit this game. Because even though the previous game was quite good by Marius, it was on Pantheon that is typically just banned against him consistently. So it's not like he will get a good chance to play that champion a lot of the time. And then the rest of the team really look not that well, apart from maybe the mid game when we saw the Blitzcrank being much more active. So hopefully this game is a better look out of everyone from BBU. Oh, Hook.
Oh man, that is some crazy stuff going down on the bot lane here, and
Yep.
Trading Flash is gonna have to burn their flash, but it's okay. Things are okay. For the first time this series, these junglers are going in different directions. Obito had started on the bot side this time. Snoop Dogg still starting on the top side, so they're going to be ships passing in the night here, and certainly their focuses are going to be elsewhere.
Trading
Could be another
flashes.
potential issue. Trading Flash has been knocked up, has been stunned.
Dead? Yeah.
Tiny Asian boy picks up first blood.
You can never play against a Blitzcrank in front of a bush. Especially when you don't even have flash, you know that it's the recipe to die, essentially. So trading flash is really greedy, really bad positioning, especially because he even is running the ignite, which means that he's such an easy target to kill without extra healing or another summoner down there. Really nice capitalization by the Blitzcrank, Sigafai and Tiny Asian Boy. I think this is the first solo kill that they have gotten in this series, and making use of it really effectively, now even getting the push into the Jinx.
And we'll have to see. The urgency has to be turned up to 11 here. Assyrian engaging
Oh.
onto Marios. The ignite goes down, and here comes Obito. That ghost is going to get burnt, and it's going to be another big gank from the jungler of Acclivity. Marios is going to flash away, but I don't think this goat's getting anywhere. Healing up quite a bit. This is actually causing some problems here, and Snoop Dogg is now coming to help out. It looks like we'll land the stun, but Bondi is going to be able to find the kill. No, it's Assyrian, but Assyrian's going to die for it. Oh man, this looks like this is not going to be the game that Acclivity wants. Snoop Dogg still trying to find a kill onto Obito. This one's going to go over to Nightsaw and VBU. This is the VBU that we thought that we were going to see. They take a big early lead.
Yeah, much more aggressive, much more going for the kills. Getting the kills onto Knights are really important. Nice rotation overall. And like you're pointing out, this is the BBU that we want to see, the one that was going to try and put the presence of a team that we have higher expectations for looking into playoffs. So nice play by them, nice capitalization, and a play that looked like it was going to be just immediately good for the side of BBU, for the side of Acclivity. Turns a little bit haywire with that.
Yeah, that play looked absolutely routine, and when you cannot make the routine plays happen, you are going to have problems. Trading flashes, it looks like they might go down, but no, they're going to back off because Obito is here. The exhaust goes down, the flash burnt by Tiny Asian Boy. No summoners left on that Kaisa, but will be able to get themselves and Signify out of any further trouble. So the ganks on this Graves, while it did bear some fruit, not going the way they were earlier on.
Yeah, they are trying to look for the potential ganks, make something happen, and this is something that both Obito tried in the first and second games. They worked out, but at the same time, we saw the instances where it didn't, and that affects how the game does turn out later on, especially when the bot lane already has a lead that they will probably play around, especially when the Kai'Sa backs.
Yeah, it is a small lead, and now with how much damage they've taken, this is a good opportunity for Jinx to be able to kind of get back into it with a bit of a CS lead. And Snoop Dogg hanging around on the bottom side of the map while Obito is going to be on the top side. So this could mean that Dragon would be free real estate for Snoop Dogg. But you see the pings going down. I'm going to walk over Warden here in the top lane. Assyrian looking to scam on Marios here. One more auto attack will do it. That is a solo kill there for Assyrian. All of a sudden, this Renekton's got 2 kills.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted to do. You need to get those kills early on into Marius. Marius, you're a Soraka, and yeah, Renekton can be a little bit better to play around with, but you're still a Soraka. Like, you will die if you put yourself into a bad spot. Really nicely played by Assyrian getting that kill, getting that value out of the Renekton, because that's essentially what we're trying to pull up for the Renekton, and it's really important that the Renekton actually is getting the win.
Ocean Drake picked up for the side of VBU. They are very happy to have that into their pocket, and the Infernal Drake will come next. Obito just chilling up here, waiting for Marios to show back up and potentially make a kill happen. Assyrian getting so aggressive, looking to just take as many plates as possible up there.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of the way that Acclivity has to force things out, especially with Assyrian being able to kill the Soraka. You need to be able to make this Renekton work out. You need to be able for it to actually allow for the game to not get it stalled out and then you end up losing.
Well, Obito, like a thief in the night, is going to be able to pick up that blue buff. They had to burn Ghost. Signify in hot pursuit here. This fight might not be over yet. Looking to find a knockup. Does find the knockup. Does find the hook even after the flash. And Assyrian is in a bad way right now. Dominus used, but it's not going to matter. One more auto attack will do it. Nightsaw picking up their 3rd kill of the game. We said that this mid laner needed to make an impact, and they are finally showing up. And now, Obito in a lot of trouble. That one's not going to go over to Nightsaw, but they had a big hand in that one. Snoop Dogg picking that one up. And all of a sudden, VBU has a renewed life in this series.
Yeah, and just to point out, Snoop Dogg as well stole the jungle camp, which means that it's not only the pain of dying, but even the salt added to that of just getting your camp stolen. Great rotation out of the side of Night. So like you pointed out, we needed to see him a little bit more. We needed to see him being able to provide much more for the team, and he's been doing a much better job this time around with the brand. This may be something similar to what Assyrian pulled up with the Renekton in the case where it's a much better comfort pick for Nightson. This is why we're seeing him perform better as well.
Yeah, it just seems like the team composition's a little bit more for him. And I mean, Brandon can do so much damage in the early game, and Corky doesn't really do all too much early on. You got to wait to scale up a little bit. So it's allowed Nightsaw to have first movement all the time.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing with Corky. Even though he's becomes quite great with the poke and he has a lead right now, the fact is that Brand can push quite easily. Oh wait,
Uh-oh, big knockup. There's the flash. The exhausted gone down as well. Missing link, missing summoners at this point. Signify, though, does get knocked up. It's getting lower and lower, but no further action happening down there. And as we stated earlier, we did say that Tiny Asian Boy was going to get a lead. Missing Link had an opportunity to get some CS back, and they've cracked open a bit of a lead for themselves down here. Up 17 CS.
yeah, with the amount of attention that we have had on the top side and the fact that Siga5 has also moving around the map, it means that the Kai'Sa was forced into a tough spot. Now, it's not the worst of situations because Kai'Sa with 1.5 items begins to actually spike quite heavily, and as long as she gets her first 2 upgrades in the abilities, then she becomes an important champion. But the Jinx getting so much gold value is really important for Acclivity as well. Oh,
Full engagements on Marios here. They're looking to get this kill. The Ignite is on. They're slowed up there in hot pursuit here. Another Starfall lands. The healing is there. They get the speed boost off the crab. They're trying so hard to live. The wish comes out as well. Bondi flashing forward, getting the big one down, helping out Assyrian. Close that one out. 3 kills on the top laner. Bondi, his flash for the cause. Pretty happy about that one. And once again find a kill onto the Soraka. Mario struggling so far in the early going.
Yeah, that took way too much out of the side of Acclivity to get that kill, but yeah, that works out perfectly for them. They secure the kill onto the Renekton, which is what you want to make it work. The Herald onto the bot lane. I really like this play. I would have liked it if the Kai'Sa got in full value, but obviously with two members here responding, it's bound to be hard. Oh, the
We'll
fight
take
under the
all the
turret.
gold you can get there. Trading flashes is going to be able to find a way out. It was a
Oh,
good Janna ultimate. However, Missing Link trying to kite this
nice
one out. They're in
goal.
a lot of trouble. One more auto attack will do it, but a timely stun there by Snoop Donk is too much. It's a double knockup, but I'm not sure if Obito is strong enough to make anything happen here with just a serrated Dirk as the siege continues in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Assyrian just taking Soraka's lunch money right now. 3 plates worth of gold. And heck, even in the mid lane, Bondi gets themselves 2 plates. They're having an okay
Yep.
time with everybody heading into the bot lane. So it's not all too bad here. 1,200 gold lead. Dragon coming up very soon, though, and it looks like it'll be another dragon secured for VBU. Oh, Trading Flash is getting low. Is going to have to move out of there, and it looks like this dragon will be secured as I may have lost my co-caster. I'm not quite sure what happened to TDS, but TDS is no longer here. But it's okay. It's okay. I got this. Don't worry. So, Cloud Drake up and ready to go. Lots of items being picked up here by the brand, getting closer and closer to that mythic. First mythic from Snoop Donk here, and it feels like Snoop Donk all series long has been getting the first mythic. Mario's doing what they can to CS up a little bit, and it's another potential dive setup here, but they're strong enough to clear the wave, so Syrian is going to have to go in early. They're tanking it up. The Dominus makes them tanky. The silence is out, but that's going to be the ultimate from Obito. They're going to pick up another kill, but no, Marios is going to get a Syrian featuring the turret. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, the missing link has been picked off, and Tiny Asian Boy picks up a second one. So disaster all around the map here for Acclivity. And now a dive attempt from Snoop Donk. He does so much damage right now. But respecting the turret, something that Assyrian did not do, Snoop Donk is just going to walk it out. That being said, Nightsaw with first movement on this mid lane once again able to make Obito's life hard, but not making any hay there. This does allow Bondi to push in even further, but they were not able to claim a third plate. Nightsaw could be in a little bit of trouble here as trading flashes is around, but just taking a couple of rockets and nothing more at this point in the game. Corki with a huge CS lead right now, and I think if Acclivity just get some time to scale up, they should be okay. Let's trying to make something happen. Oh, he's going into overdrive here, looking to land the hook. Great prediction out of Signify. Are they able to finish the kill? Here comes the stun. There comes the Pillar of Flame, and Nightsaw picks up kill number 5. What a prediction there from Signify, as I believe I've gotten my co-caster back. Maybe not. I don't know. Just gonna act like TDS still isn't here yet.
Here.
Trying to bang down this turret, missing link, able to pick up another plate for their side. It's 3 plates for the bottom lane, and overall, lots of plates going back and forth here, but I think it's actually about even. 3 in the bottom lane, 2 in the mid lane, 3 in the top lane makes 8, 4, 1, and 1. No, Acclivity's gotten more turret platings.
Okay, so I wasn't able to watch a couple things, quick problems with me, but still, I think that getting those plates, like you're pointing out, quite important. Do they know that Obito's here? They don't.
They got no idea,
Oh.
baby. Exhaust goes down onto Obito once again. He gets knocked up. He's taking a lot of damage. He's going to have to try to ult his way out of there. Tiny Asian Boy will barely survive thanks to Marios' TP. Snoop Donk on the chase, but not able to do too much more.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure how nobody died there. I for sure
Same.
thought that Obito would have gotten the kill onto the Kai'Sa, but then when they turned it around, I'm not sure how nobody died from the side of Acclivity. It's an equal trade, it looks like, but at the
First
same
turret,
time,
though.
yeah, Renekton gets first turret on top side, they get turret on bot lane. All in all, I think it's an equal trade that benefits the side of BBU more. Because they didn't let the Kai'Sa die, even though they lose the turret in topside, which I think for the overall gold value works out better for BBU, and as well for the state of the map. Renekton getting that gold, it's bad, but it's not as bad as if you had lost everyone, or the Kai'Sa in the bot lane.
Taking a look at the game state here, Acclivity is really going to need Bondi to scale up on this Corki. Getting there, though, Muramana is going to be on its way very soon. Corki scales so well, and now they're looking to try to make a play on the Signify. They're going to get knocked up even after using their Oh, never mind. Holy moly. Tiny Asian
Oh, they
boy
got it.
from downtown. Didn't matter if you had your Valkyrie or not. A third kill for Tiny Asian boy. This is the AD Kaisa. And look at him, thug style. The shiny golden skins over here on the mid lane, just memeing on him right now. VBU are feeling themselves.
Yeah, they have to, especially after having such a rough first game, the second game being much better. I feel like it's a lot of pent up frustration that they are now showing off with how this game is going on. Important kill that they get in the mid lane onto the Corki. The Kaisa also is the one that gets the kill. So you say how important these kills are because look at the champions that have the gold value on the kills. It's the Kaisa, it's the Brand, to a lesser extent, it's the Udyr, and even though, oh wait,
Uh-oh, that was a big knock up on the Night Saw, but what an ultimate out of
the
Night
ulti.
Saw. Going golden is this Janna, but Janna is going to die. Signify dropping an ultimate to get a kill. Night Saw is low as
Oh,
Assyrian came from the side to make a play happen. Assyrian still living. Are they able to cut it out? No. Snoop Dogg will still stay alive, and Tiny Asian Boy finds the kill on the missing link. Here comes Corky with the package, trying to fly in and
oh,
do something, but he doesn't have the damage yet. He's just going to end right there and fall down. And this game is all VBU right now. They're going to take out a mid turret as well. Marios and Tiny Asian Boy having some damn good fights there.
yeah, that was so nicely played by the side of BBU. I gotta give credit as well to the Renekton for how he performed in the team fight. He came out of nowhere and he did as much as possible. But this is the kind of difficulty that you face with the Renekton. Even if you're far ahead or really, really far ahead, there's a chance that if you get kited out, controlled, or you simply don't have enough to burst out someone, then your body just feels like it's non-existent. And in the other side, BB was able to do so much. Okay, no, he's fine. BB was able to do so much. They get a kills onto the Kai'Sa once again. The ultimate out of the Brand was so huge, and it's something that will always work out in teamfights. If they pile upon each other, the value out of the Brand ultimate will always be shown, and it's really hard for the enemy team to have an answer against that unless you are able to go away the rest of your team and take the full front of the ultimate by yourself.
You know, there was a lot of talk of maybe a different type of top laner, something that was a little bit more reliable when it came to engage. Not so. Renekton seemed to be their only choice, and that's what they had to price themselves into. And while he is 5-3, it just feels like the rest of the map has just not gone the way that Acclivity wanted it to. Here's another hook down onto trading flashes. Kaisa ultimate ran him right into a wall, and
Oh.
trading flash is gonna get away with one there.
I think it wasn't the ulti, it was the Gale Force,
Oh, it
actually.
was the Gale Force. I'm sorry.
Yeah, to get the extra
Because
damage.
I'd never seen that before. I was very concerned that
It would
something
have
was wrong
been
with Kaisa
hilarious.
ultimate, but I can't use my eyes properly.
It's fine. It would have been hilarious if it was actually the ultimate that you just run
For
into a
real.
wall and end up dying. But it's the Gale Force instead. I think for just to add up the damage, maybe they thought that they would get it. Rowdy, Bundy.
It doesn't matter. We don't need to talk about this one too much. Snoop Dogg is going to be able to pick up the
Yeah, not.
kill, and they're going to get out because of Marios' healing. Well, on the bot lane, though, I am Assyrian banging down this turret. Objective bounties are alive. We're going to find engagement
Oh,
on the Night's but now Signify is here, so Assyrian is caught between a rock and a hard place. Here comes the knock-up, here comes the Dominus. The ultimate had bounced off of Night's to deal quite a bit of damage. He's kiting this one out, trying to find a kill, and he will be able to get the kill onto the Renekton. However, collateral damage, and Obito is out of there. It's a 1-for-1 overall. Top turret destroyed. Min inner turret destroyed as VBU continues to run the map elsewhere.
when did Missing Link die? did,
Um,
did he get
I
solo
don't
killed
know.
by the Kaisa?
I don't know. I have no
Okay.
idea. There was
Yeah, that was
so
out of
much other
nowhere.
stuff going down that it's just been a disaster for Acclivity. And after how strong they came out in the first game, I have to say this is a little disappointing. I mean, I understand that they were winless, and it looks like they still may be winless after this, but I thought that maybe they had a shot.
Yeah, continuing their trend of winning one game and maybe not pulling off at the end of the road, it's kind of sad. But I do
Progress.
think that at least for Acclivity, it's looking with a better potential. Like if they can keep a roster and actually play around the same players, then I think that this could work out for them and maybe net them a win eventually. Now, I think if I'm not wrong, I think that this does mean that their potential for playoffs would be essentially over
Yeah,
since they
no, I
would be
mean,
0-5.
yeah, 0-5, 2-5 is not going to get you into the playoffs in this league. I don't think.
Yeah,
Especially since
so
I think all the top teams would have 3 wins, unless Some crazy stuff would have to go down for it to be possible. Tiny Asian
Oh.
boy is the crazy stuff though. Manages to find a kill, and they're
Oh.
looking for another one, and they are going to pick up two. 6-0-3 on this Kaisa. Tiny Asian boy has had a great series, and this is VBU firing on all cylinders. Obito knows he's got nowhere to go. Ghost for ghost, but Snoop Donk is just Danny Phantom, and he is just doing way too much damage. And now he's going after Bondi. They're looking to dive this turret with Marios as the heal bot.
There's just his
Assyrian
ultimate,
engages
yeah.
onto Marios, but Snoop Donk is godlike. Marios
Oh.
getting ignited, but still manages to survive. The second health bar, known as Soraka, will be able to keep Snoop Donk alive. This is just disgusting, man. Just out here blatantly taking turret shots for no reason. It has been all VBU this game.
Yeah, they have been running the show this game. They have been doing whatever they want to do. Particularly much more so Snoop Dogg and Naitso have been looking much better this game. It's just looking so harsh for Acclivity. I'm not even sure what they can do. The Renekton's value is falling quite heavily. Jinx is 0-5. Corki is 0-5. Your carries that could have carried in the late game are simply not there yet, and I'm not sure if they will get a chance to be there. Like Renekton can Renekton no, Udyr can run towards them and kill them. Brand can destroy them with the one ultimate. The Kaisa can follow up onto the Udyr and kill them as well. So it just looks so hard to be able to pull off in this coming team fight. Oh,
Oh
the hook.
no, not another hook. Signify, more like Mad Life. 1-1-11. Their predictions have been top notch this game. They're hunting for another big hook here. They're going to find the knockup. They are going to find the hook. Assyrian trying to get out, but is going to burn away and fall. 9 kills for the Kaiser right now.
And counting.
This is a statement game right here. A statement game out of VBU. And for Acclivity, they had the scaling. Corky, Jinx, they're meant to scale up. But when you give away kills like this and you get so far behind the way they have, all the scaling in the world's not going to save you.
Yeah, scaling will be valuable when you can actually use it, and that takes usually 30 minutes. So the fact that you're bleeding so heavily already, so before 30 minutes are up, 8 minutes before the late game, it just feels so bad for the side of Acclivity. And I kind of feel like it all comes back to that play that we saw in the top side. Oh, who goes wide?
Everything's fine. So Cloud Salt was taken, and now we might see a fight break out here, but it looks like there will be no further engagement.
Are you sure?
Acclivity forcing
Okay,
them
yeah.
all for the Baron. The hook going down, but Corky was forced to burn the package there, it looked like.
Yeah, he used it.
So it looks like that package is going to be gone, and now they are just doing the run at you thing. Assyrian in the thick of things, trying to make a play. Big silence by Signify, and he's going to hook Missing Link off to the side. Missing Link has to get out. Tiny Asian boy able to find the kill. Mario's trying to keep Snoop Dogg alive, but they can't keep themselves alive. It's Bonnie picking up a kill. And now Tiny Asian Boy is in a bad way. Signify off to the side gets a solo kill. Obito is low. Obito is dead. It is a 4-for-1. Bonnie the last man standing. And here comes Snoop Dogg with the stun under turret. See you later, Bonnie. It's an ace. Capitalized by the ace mid laner of VBU. Nightsaw coming through with an 8-2-9 performance. The minions are here. Once the
They
AD carry
win?
gets here, I'd imagine these structures are going to fall. The question is, can they win? As you stated, 5 seconds apiece on the support and AD carry, and they're going to walk it out.
Yeah, they respected that timers. It's still 23 minutes in, so I'd rather you respect them and then go for the win. But this game feels like it's 2 or 3 steps closer to ending. Like it feels really hard for the side of Acclivity to survive. If they can pull off a Miracles fight, maybe there's a chance for them to win. But Corky doesn't even have a mythic yet. He does deal a little bit
Jeez.
of damage, but it's just not enough. And at this point, they are just so easily engaged on. The Soraka does so much, and you don't have any way of to answer her. Like this game just feels so harsh for Acclivity at this point. And instead, the side of BBU has every card up their hands in their hands to be able to to do anything they want to. They can even go for Baron, turn around and win the game. They can just get the Baron. They can get the Elder if they want to. But I'm not sure why they should wait. Like they can close out the game soon enough, and that's it. Yeah, they're going for the Baron.
Baron has been started up. Let's see if Acclivity is able to get there to try to sniff it out.
Would they want to fight this even?
Well, they found Signify. This is getting very low, and the Nash will go down. Missing Link's ultimate does go wide. They are going to try to kill Sigify. And off to the side, it was
Oh,
Snoop Dunk. Missing
oh
Link is going to
no.
fall. Tiny Asian boy does so much damage. Look at the Kaisa of enormous girth there. Give him a triple kill. One more going over to Snoop Dunk. Marios picks up number 2. A pretty clean ace. Bondi has left. And the rest of Acclivity has left. A commanding, convincing win there from
Yeah,
VBU.
after two games that I think so much more chance out of Acclivity to potentially pull off the series. BBU with a statement game. The last game much more dominance, much power out of them. We saw how that one play in the early game that I feel like decided quite a lot of this game. The play that they attempted to go on to Marius to try and get the kill onto Soraka and give it to Assyrian. They fail on that. Naito gets 2 kills, and after that, it just feels like there's complete control out of BBU to do whatever they wanted. There was an attempt. Sadly, doesn't work out at the end for Acclivity, but I feel like it's looked better from what they have pulled off in the previous weeks. And if they can make it work in the coming weeks, they can maybe close out the season with a win. But at this point, they're potentially out of playoffs. Like mathematically, I'm not going to make the mathematics here, but it feels like it. And BBU one step closer for playoffs.
Yeah, they. It looks like I'm not sure how updated this is, but it looks like there's a 6.7% chance that they get in.
Uh,
I mean, it's better than zero, right?
yeah,
Hold
true.
on,
It
let
is
me
with
see
tiebreakers, right?
if it's been updated. It has indeed been updated here. So they, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to be able to do it. All I know is that this may be the end of the road for them. And with
Yeah.
Lotus and Goth Boy Click up next on the docket, I'm going to be honest with you. Didn't really feel like they were going to have a chance. Like,
Yeah, like if
yeah,
they can
not
pull,
only
they
did you
can
have to
maybe
get
pull up a
through,
spoiler.
well, I mean, not only did you have to get through VBU, but you have to go up against Lotus and Goth Boy Click. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to pull off a spoiler against those teams. I'm really not.
You never know. Like I do think that they are potentially going to lose. Like I wouldn't bet on Acclivity winning if I'm honest. But it's always when you're the lowest that you can turn around and get a win against a team that you never expected out. Yeah. So I would be interested if it does happen. I think that at the end of the season would be fun if something like that does happen and ends up screwing up the season of someone else. But like you're pointing out, it just feels like it's going to be quite hard for it to actually happen.
Yeah, and credit to VBU Infusion. They're going to improve to 3-2, and up next, it's going to be for them. It's going to be Goth Boy Click and ISUGE Diamond, and that Goth Boy Click game is going to be very important for them because currently,
Yeah.
before counting the games here, these are the teams fourth and fifth in the standings. As we love Solbert as a started out a surprise 3-1. So it looks like Gothboy Click and VBU are jockeying for position of that fourth playoff spot, and I don't know if that's going to be enough to get them there. It's going to be really difficult to see. I mean, you take a look at the playoff percentages here. I mean, if ISU and MSU and Acclivity are all pretty low, but like
Yep.
Gothboy and VBU have like a 78 and a 76% chance of getting in respectively, and
That is
only a
high.
5 and 6% chance of being out of the playoffs, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, like so. Well, not early on, but at this point, it is quite a high potential to just get in there. Even if there's a small chance that they don't it just feels like they are shooing for playoffs at this point. Like unless something really crazy happens, and that's why we see it in the probability, right?
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a crazy last couple of weeks here for the Blue Otter League, but there's no craziness left for tonight. As we have already gotten through all the crazy, there is no more crazy with us
True.
here. So we're going to be wrapping it up here. TDS, would you like to maybe do an in memoriam for the side of Acclivity? Any parting words that you might have for them?
Hmm. You're fun to watch sometimes. I think this game was really exciting. This match was really exciting. At one point, I thought maybe we could get a 2-0. It didn't happen, but if you can organize yourselves, make an actual team that doesn't require 12 substitutions or the most amount of players in a split of 7 weeks, then I can see you guys pulling off something nice. So don't be discouraged. Losing is for everyone. Nobody's exempted from it. If you can turn it around,
Unless
that's
you're
going to be an even
Lotus.
greater story. So hopefully you can pull it off later on.
Lotus seems to be exempt from losses, but that is it for us tonight. We do have more Blue Otter League action going on. The Platinum League uh, will be broadcasted tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and then the Gold League will be broadcasted on Wednesday, also at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you are not sated with the amount of Blue Otter League action that you have been given tonight, do not worry. You will have more action coming tomorrow and the day after. But that is it for us. So for myself, Yanni, Pop Tart, our producer, did an excellent job tonight. And the rest of the Blue Otter League family, thank you for spending your Monday night here with us. We will see you tomorrow for the Platinum League.